We have the crossover, baby Scott. Now you must decide what becomes of it. Professor, what are you doing here? I just wanted something to do. You take the baby Cable. Try to find it a happy future to grow up in.
You know there are precisely 0 happy futures for us.
I know.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Rolling 20s. We are the show that found out that Playboy is taking the pictorials out of their magazines. No! I am Jeremy.
Jesse.
Anthony.
We're sitting here at the floor of Great American Comic-Con in Las Vegas, Nevada, taking our first out-of-state trip for a convention. And so far it has been an uncomfortable trip.
In some ways, yes, and in some ways it's been very, very interesting.
That 4-hour drive through the desert can be a little scary because you see miles and miles where there is no chance for you to stop and get an Avion, man. And the biggest difference, just being a California native, is stepping into buildings and realize, holy crap, people smoke in here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a huge difference.
Yeah.
You know, I see people blowing smoke at the craft stables, and I'm just like, crap, don't you people know what that does?
Yeah.
I don't think they care.
There's a funny thing about that, because I was, as I was walking through the casino, like, just coming here from the airport yesterday, or no, on Friday, I should say, I was noticing a lot. Like, I was going through, and it's like, people were smoking, drinking, having fun, but, like, something like that would not fly in California.
No.
Loading door will close in 20 minutes.
Now, remember, you can subscribe to this show and several others in the MSP library at missionstarpodcast.com. You can like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on iTunes and on Stitcher, follow us on Twitter at The Rolling 20s. You can send us any fan mail, suggestions for the show, or hate mail at mspfreight@yahoo.com.
Send him all the hate mail.
The music you heard before the show is by Machine Supremacy. You can find most of their discography for free download at machinesupremacy.com, as well as their latest couple of albums on amazon.com. The clip you heard at the very beginning of the show was X-Men Messiah Complex Part 3 by Floating Hand Studios. You can find more of their videos under the channel Floating Hand Studios on youtube.com. Thankfully, when it comes to this week, we don't have any Kickstarters, so there's not much to talk about in that respect. Starting off with Marvel media news, I mean, everybody right now is blowing up over the fact that during the Thanksgiving period, the trailer for Captain America Civil War dropped.
Yes.
And people lost their frackin' minds.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so good.
Because of the situation we're in, we can't replay the audio for you, so all we can do is just kind of recap it to a bit. And the biggest thing I've heard so far is everyone wondering, where's Spider-Man?
Yeah, we had this, me and Jesse had this discussion yesterday. We talked the fact that how much Spider-Man we'll actually see, and we expect him to have at least a glimpse or something to show, because the Civil War movie is not going to end with just Captain America. That's going to be going on for other movies as it moves on. And the amount of money that Marvel put in just to get the Spider-Man rights to use him in the movie.
They didn't.
Really?
The deal was, it was a zero money deal. Marvel gets to make the movie, Sony gets to finance and distribute the movie.
Oh.
So the use of Spider-Man is just kind of...
It's an agreement, you know. Sony had recent trouble when it came to movies. They lost a lot of money with the data breach that happened recently, and then all the flack about that Seth Rogen movie, the one where he was supposed to be a journalist that attempted to assassinate Kim Jong-un.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah.
They lost a ton of money, so they were looking to generate revenue, and while they don't want to give up the rights to Spider-Man, they did realize that they needed a movie that was going to be guaranteed to make money. And right now, who makes movies that are guaranteed to make money regardless of the subject?
Marvel.
Well, I mean, but then that begs the question, like, if that's the case, then is Sony kind of the gatekeeper with Spider-Man, like, as far as, like, how much time they can use him in a movie? Or?
Nope. No, they have a say. They can agree or disagree, but it's not a case where they can say, okay, this deal ends now.
Okay.
And the movie's already shot.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Holland's been confirmed to have been on the set of Civil War. However, it's my opinion that he will show up in, if not the end of the movie, then the end of credits cameo. Because I do not think he's going to be used his presence would overshadow 90% of the characters in the movie.
Yeah, hell yeah.
It would. I'm just very, very curious how they can use Spider-Man. Even because in the comics he was a big part of the Civil War series. between Spider-Man, Cap, and Iron Man.
Well, a lot of people were also excited because the trailer gave several glimpses of the Black Panther. It's the first time
yeah.
we've seen in any film.
That was cool. That was awesome.
And then a lot of people were complaining that they felt sorry for Tony Stark, who was getting beat up by the Winter Soldier and Captain America, despite his armor.
Well, one's got a biomechanical arm, and the other one's got an indestructible shield. So,
I would just say grow the hell up, it's a movie.
yeah.
It's all make-believe.
It has come out that the Black Panther is supposed to be like the Marvel Universe version of James Bond.
That's it.
He's going to be more of a rogue operator trying to trying to complete his purpose while everything else is going on. Apparently he's not going to be much of a direct player, but he is going to be a bit snooty because he is a king. Mm-hmm. He's also going to be very individually goal-focused. According to Chadwick Boseman, the guy who plays it, quote, "You never quite know where he stands. There's always a bit of concealing and mystery. So I think mysterious is more his boat. Not to say there's not charm and he can't be a ladies' man and all that. It's more like if there's humor, it's more like James Bond," unquote.
Okay.
Very high class, then.
Yeah, he's going to be the suave one of the primary players.
I'm cool with
He's
that.
going to make Tony Stark jealous.
Oh man, that'd be such a cool dynamic.
That'd be awesome if Chadwick Boseman comes in and out Robert Downey Jr.'s Robert Downey Jr.
That'd be great.
And just after Thanksgiving, just before Thanksgiving, I should say, production began on the Doctor Strange film.
Oh.
Sick.
So that means Benedict Cumberbatch is filming. I think they started filming somewhere in either Georgia or in the European area. I'm a little unclear as to where.
Okay.
But it is still a Phase 3 film. I think Phase 3 won't end until at least the first part of the Infinity War comes out.
I wouldn't doubt that for sure.
So I still have a bug up my butt about the Phase 2 box set, which I lost out on because I was so dutiful about buying films. I could have spent $15 more and had an actual Infinity Stone in my hands. You know how much that pisses me off?
Oh, Crimea River.
Don't invite it. Marvel Studios has hired Stephanie Folsom. She's a new screenwriter for the 2017 film Thor Ragnarok. And word is, this may be the movie where Chris Hemsworth takes an exit from the Marvel films.
How long is his contract?
He hasn't talked as much about his contract as others, although he's arguably the most handsome one in the crew. Oddly enough, he's the one that tends to talk the least about the films when it comes to the major players. So I've seen more interviews with Jeremy Renner and Scarlett Johansson than I've seen with Chris Hemsworth as Thor.
Interesting.
But Ragnarok, that story did play out in the comics about 6 years ago, where Asgard was indeed destroyed. Ragnarok happened. Thor was gone. The resurrection as to how that came to be is still a bit mysterious, but it seems like every once in a while Asgard is just completely annihilated and then somebody farts and it comes back. So
In Ohio.
Yeah. Right now it's actually floating above Saturn.
So he's right next door to Thanos?
No, the Titan Moon is dead.
Oh.
Thanos is one of, I think, 3 survivors of his species because Thanos had a tantrum.
Okay.
I read his origin comic. Peyton Reed dished a little bit about Ant-Man. He talked a little bit about deleted scenes and how the sequel will be weirder than the original film. For those that missed it, the sequel, the official title is Ant-Man and the Wasp, so no secret as to who's going to come out in that film. Now, he said that the pressure of coming in to follow Edgar Wright's script, which had already been written and having to do the rewrites, didn't faze him. He said, quote, "I don't think I felt any more pressure than I would have on another movie. The pressure I felt was kind of self-imposed by taking these characters I loved as a kid and putting them in a movie," unquote. And he did give Paul Rudd a lot of credit for how the movie came out.
Yeah.
He said, quote, "We all knew the tone we were after. We wanted the movie to be and characters to be funny, but you have to take the hero and the powers seriously. It's showing an audience Ant-Man's powers are not ridiculous, but here are some of the badass ways you can use these powers," unquote.
Yeah, it was a... Oh, okay. All right. It was a movie I went to go see when it came out, and I was kind of like wondering if this is going to be the movie that people are going to be like, I'm not quite sure if I'm ready for this. I'm maybe superhero fatigue at this point. And I watched it. It was really good. It was funny. It was great. I think that the Ant-Man movie is probably going to be one of the most underrated superhero movies of this year.
It's already surpassed the first Captain America: Civil War and Thor's overall take. It passed 500 million, despite the fact that it's not exactly a highly known character outside of specific Avengers fans.
And that might be to its benefit, actually.
Could be.
Yeah, could be.
Maybe
It could be something that superhero that people can actually learn about or know about without having to go back and read, what exactly Ant-Man is.
Well, in regards to the sequel, Reed went on to say, quote, "Part of the thing we're going to explore, as shown in the comics, is how the Ant-Man and Wasp are such a great duo and partnership. Part of that, in any partnership, is how they relate to each other as people. Where will their personal relationship be at that point? And what will be their fighting style together?" Unquote.
Okay. That's cool. I mean, I definitely welcome that.
Yeah, well, the Ant-Man Blu-rays come out on December 8th.
I get that.
So this coming Tuesday.
I might get that.
IO9 and James Whitbrook put up a list of all the connections to the Marvel Universe you may have missed in the Jessica Jones TV show. Believe it or not, one of the first scenes is actually a reference directly to the comics.
Yeah.
The scene where somebody's pissed off and is yelling at her about the job she did for him and she rammed his head through the glass of her door. That was a direct translation from one of the first comics Jessica Jones was ever in.
Nice.
Including the fact that she asked about the bill. The one that seems to confuse a lot of people, though, is the appearance of Nuke in the series.
I actually ended up looking at it when I discovered the red pill.
As soon as he said, "I need a red," I'm like, I know that guy.
I ended up having to research it, pause videos, like, okay, let's look this up, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, the name is a little bit different, but I kind of expected that simply because the origin of the character is going to have to be very different. The character in comics was a Vietnam War vet who underwent cybernetic and chemical enhancements and lost a bit of his humanity after all that. In the TV show, Frank Simpson, and I know that's different from the original character, was just chemically enhanced so far, but it looks like there's plans to take that further. And the closest they ever got to the weird flag tattoo Nuke has on his face was Frank Simpson's lighter in the show.
Huh.
You notice that was an American flag lighter.
I didn't pay attention to it.
Yep. That was the symbology behind it. Obviously, we know about Luke Cage appearing in the series a few times.
Of course.
Some people may have missed Hellcat in the series.
I had no idea who that character was.
Holy shit, I have never heard that character in a very long time.
Patsy Walker is kind of an interesting story because Patsy Walker was not originally a Marvel character. She existed in another company in a romance comic.
Huh.
Then that company eventually was folded into what became Marvel, and they kept telling the romance stories until the genre kind of died out. Then, at a point I don't know, they took the character and created her an origin as a superhero. And she eventually became Hellcat. She's getting a new series in Marvel. I think it starts this month.
So was she like, how do you train or enhance or what?
Depending on the era, originally she was highly trained as a martial artist because she was tired of people attacking her. And then at some point, I think she has some kind of luck-altering powers. Most recent stint in comics, she was able to see the supernatural. She was the only superhero who was actively fighting supernatural threats.
Huh.
Cool.
So I don't know if that's changing because the new series is supposed to have a bit of a comedic bent because she's still a superhero, but people recognize her as Patsy Walker and want her to autograph stuff, do interviews.
I think that's what came off in the movie.
TV show, you mean?
Yeah, the TV show, yeah, sorry.
Well, the character of Detective Clemens, who was shot in the show, he's an actual comic character as well.
Really?
Yeah, he wasn't created for the show. He was originally a comic character. And the other thing that people sometimes miss is not the lawyer, Jaron Hogarth. That character was in the comics, but it was Jerry Hogarth. It was a male character. They changed it for the show.
Oh.
But that character does exist in Marvel Comics because Jerry Hogarth is the one who was the lawyer for the Heroes for Hire, Luke Cage and the Iron Fist.
Ah.
And the odd thing is, we saw Claire Temple, who is not like the night nurse, a night nurse for Marvel TV. But the one thing a lot of people missed was that during one episode, Jessica Jones was trying to refer somebody to another investigator, somebody she knew very well, and she dropped the name that I kind of missed. Angela Del Toro. Angela Del Toro is actually the name of one of the White Tigers in Marvel Comics history.
Oh.
And Angela Del Toro was a private investigator until she was killed, and I think her sister, Ava Ayala, eventually became the current White Tiger.
Sweet.
So they dropped all kinds of bombs in there that people missed.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
And last up in Marvel media news is news I guess we kind of expected, but just wasn't announced until recently. Fox sent out its schedule of its upcoming slate of movies.
Oh,
there's
tell me.
one mysteriously missing all of a sudden.
Fantastic Four 2?
Yes, the Fantastic Four sequel has vanished from their slate of films.
What a surprise!
I think they managed to take the crazy pills.
No, I mean if they did that, that means they're off the crazy pills.
Because you know the funny thing is because they were championing that. They were like Fantastic Four.
Yeah, we had
happen.
we had trouble, but we're still going to make the movie. We have confidence in the product. They said stuff like
You're
that.
insane.
Now all of a sudden, it's gone. Where'd it go?
Yeah.
I was expecting not to spend $18 on that movie.
They found the brain finally.
Well, when it comes to DC media news, another huge trailer that dropped while we were out is the Man of Steel trailer.
Man of Steel or...
And I'm sorry. Well, technically, it's sort of Man of Steel, too, but it's Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. That trailer came out just after Thanksgiving. And, again, because of the situation we're in, we can't run the audio through it. Maybe we'll run it in the background when I have a chance to get to editing machines and shite. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I keep saying, as somebody who's not a DC fan, I keep looking to be wowed. I want to find a movie that's a good one to see. I loved Batman Begins. I thought that was a great origin story. The other two fell way off, in my opinion. But this Zack Snyder Batman v Superman film, the trailer told me way more than I needed to know before I bought a ticket.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Because now with the revelation that Doomsday is a villain in there, and that Lex Luthor is apparently the one who creates Doomsday in the film, I now don't need to see the movie. I have the plot.
Yeah?
Yeah. There was something this is something we all talked about like the other day. Just like what exactly DC was doing with the trailer and how much they showed. Like they've shown 3/4 of that movie, and basically it for some people they liked it, but for I think
for DC fans it works very well.
Yeah. I think for like maybe the casual audience it was like I just basically saw the home movie, so do I even go to the movies at this point? So there's some things in that trailer that showed up. Not only too much, but there's some things that could have hidden. Like the Doomsday reveal would have been a really great thing to see in the movie. You know, even if like
that's something you should have found in the theater.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like we already have the struggle of Batman v Superman. You could have shown several scenes of them duking it out in the trailer. Just not even whole fight scenes. Just a couple of snippets from what you know is going to be a throwdown.
Yeah.
Well, it
And
makes
hell
you wonder
Doomsday.
how much is going to be of them fighting each other versus them just talking.
Well, it makes me wonder if Warner Brothers was looking at the reactions to the prior snippets and trailers and thought we have to drop a bomb because people are not as into this as we thought. Or it could have been DC saying they could have looked at that Captain America trailer that came out a week prior for Civil War and said, crap, we need to drop a bomb.
Yeah.
I think dropping a bomb is probably like the wrong thing to do. You need to drop mystery to get people wanting to come in. I don't feel a need to come in. I was on the fence about the movie. After seeing that, I'm off the fence.
Well, I mean, the only reason we're as involved in, or the only reason we know as much about the plot of Civil War as we do is simply because we read the stories.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we understand that Baron Zemo's involved. But Disney did right by its trailer because he knows the Civil War media that's been out, they still haven't shown Baron Zemo. Nobody who isn't deep into the news knows that there's a villain behind the scenes. They just think it's going to be heroes beating the crap out of each other.
And part of that's true.
But that's where DC kind of went wrong because now we know who the villain is in Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
We know it all.
We pretty much do. There's several things in that, but they showed off what I feel like was, I think DC's response to Marvel in a way, saying like, you know, because either way, the way it looks for them, they look desperate. They look like, you know, after seeing, you know, the trailer for Civil War, they possibly said like, oh, we need to show something that will entice people to come watch our movie. And you know, have these big reveals in the trailer they showed up. It's like they gave too much. The term less is more didn't quite appeal to them as they were trying to cut the trailer.
I think they're just trying to regain as much on the ground that they lost when they had to push back their launch date to Civil War.
That is true. I totally forgot about that. Yeah.
Well, it was kind of a funny story because originally their movie was supposed to come out after Civil War.
That's true.
They were in the prime position.
Yeah.
And then they found out that there was this weird untitled Marvel movie that was coming out in the typical Marvel point, which is early May. And so Warner Brothers made this super aggressive move that said, okay, we're making Batman v Superman, and we had a production issue, so we're moving it to this other date, to which a lot of fans said, wait, there's some kind of Marvel movie coming out then. And a lot of people said that may be Captain America 3, and Warner Brothers' response was, well, we're confident in the strength of our heroes. And what was it, about 3 months later was when Marvel said, okay, the next Captain America movie is coming out on this date, and it's Captain America Civil War. And Warner Brothers said, we're not worried. And
Marvel fans rejoice.
And then Marvel fans started to find out about all the superheroes, like a dozen Avengers that are going to appear in this movie, and all of a sudden it's, okay, we had some production issues, so we're moving Batman v Superman to March?
Yeah. Yeah. It's...
The guy with the shield pushed back the entire Justice League.
Yeah. I mean, like... we have to wait and see exactly how... Like, we're talking about the trailer and, saying our thoughts about it. But, like, the thing about it is that with what they've shown so far, maybe the movie is more dense than we think. Maybe this is only like a tip of the iceberg of what exactly is in Batman vs Superman movie.
I'm going to say I've seen a few Zack Snyder films. Depth is not his strong suit.
True.
At least that's a personal opinion.
Right.
But 300 I enjoyed when I first saw it. It's not good for a rewatch.
Yeah.
Watchmen.
Totally agree.
I wasn't interested in the comics, but I was well used to Snyder's style by then, and it didn't help the film. And now that Zack Snyder did Man of Steel, and no secret, didn't like it.
Yeah. And no, I agree. The Man of Steel, Superman was pretty bad. I didn't like it either.
But speaking of DC's live adaptations, this is one of those things where they may be getting a little deep, because there is a rumor revolving around that they may be retooling the 2020 Cyborg film into a movie similar to Batman v Superman that may have the origin of another team in it.
Titans?
Yes. They may be making a Teen Titans movie. And as much as I think the Titans are a more interesting team than the Justice League, I have a problem with this simply because they've already sold the rights to his Teen Titans TV show to TNT. That would be the fourth network that has a DC property that, unless some suit signs a big contract, they can't interconnect with the others.
That sucks. Damn.
So that means that all the work that TNT is doing, they ordered a pilot for a Teen Titans show. An announcement like this, or a rumor like this, even if it's half true, could really undercut what TNT is working on. Yeah,
that really does. It's going to come to the question, like, are they going to have, these dealings or like these talks with them now, since it seems to be maybe going in that direction with Cyborg and possibly the Teen Titans, or are they going to do it where they're going to split their audience, where they have like one DC Cinematic Universe different from the TV show?
That's the way they've had it already. They've already hired a different Flash for the Justice League films, or the Flash movie, I should say, than the Grant Gustin, who's already working on TV.
That's disappointing.
So then now you run into the issue of like dividing your audience. Like when they see the Flash on TV and they go to watch the movie, it's like it may not be the same actor, but the storylines may not line up the same.
Well, that's one thing we never actually considered. Are you going to pay $15 to $18 for a Flash film if you're already a fan of the TV show?
Good point.
Some will.
Some will, but will the ones who are already fans of the show? Because they're already getting it for free, technically.
I should take that back. I think they would, because it's like
it would depend if they're fans of the Flash or they're fans of the actor. If they're fans of the actor, they probably won't bother.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like the idea that you have two different versions of the same character. But then again, DC's famous for doing like 3 different versions of the same hero running around at the same time.
That's what they're doing currently.
Yeah.
Except most of those characters had different actual names, not 3 different Barry Allens. There is news that came out this week in regards to the Flash TV show. They've cast another villain for the show. Marco Grazzini is going to play a character I'm not familiar with called Tar Pit.
Tar Pit?
Tar Pit. In the comic books, he's apparently a character, Jack the Candyman Montalone. He's a small-time criminal who somehow gains the ability to project his psyche into inanimate objects and make them move. And one of his favorite things to do is find, like, freshly laid asphalt and animate it, which creates tar pit. For the TV show, apparently they're going to make that different. It's going to be a guy who can, metamorphose his body into molten asphalt, which sounds like a strangely specific thing to be able to turn into.
It sounds like this might be something you see in Static Shock, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's an actual Flash villain. It was created in the comics a while ago.
Okay.
I think it was made during the Wally West era.
Okay.
But there was some good news for DC TV fans. Supergirl got to pick up for a full season, so her season went from 9 episodes to 18.
How is that TV series doing? Because
generic.
It had a really strong debut, but it didn't take more than about 4 weeks for it to come down to about average when it comes to primetime TV shows.
Okay.
I can see why. I'm a little mixed on it because for a primetime show, it is awfully well geared towards younger viewers. And when I say younger, I mean like 12 to 15-year-old girls.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very inspirational character. Speaking as an adult, I find her to be awfully whiny for somebody who should be able to throw a truck.
I see. How old is the Supergirl in that movie?
Mid-20s?
Yeah, precise age is a little unclear. Mid to late 20s.
Okay.
It's a little stifling because she's one of those people that even though in her personal life and in her secret identity life, she's always this weirdly mousy individual. She lets everyone walk all over her very actively. And only in the latest episode did it seem like she was actually getting angry for the first time. And the 2 times she became angry in this episode, she broke something. First she broke the red tornado, then she broke her powers.
How do you
watch that.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one.
She focused her rage through her heat vision, and I think she had a variation on Superman's super flare. I think she expended all of her solar energy, so her vulnerability is gone.
Oops.
Wow.
I don't think it's permanently, but I think it's one of those mysteries for the TV show for people who don't read comics. Why is she cut and bleeding? What happened?
That's not a bad idea.
I saw a bunch of
like
people
that. I
freaking
like
out
that.
online, and I'm just sitting there behind my keyboard going, super flare. It's a super flare. What's wrong with you people? It's a super flare. I'm not going to get involved in this. Freaking super flare.
That's
Oh, shut up then.
I like that. That's cool. I like that.
There is a rumor going around that executives for CBS and executives for the CW may be considering a crossover between Supergirl and The Flash.
Holding my breath.
I wouldn't doubt it. They've done crossovers before with The Flash and Green Arrow. So
Oh, yeah, but they're on the same network, though.
that's true.
Yeah, and Bleeding Cool came out with a statement that said, quote, Bleeding Cool has been told by a reliable source to expect Supergirl to meet The Flash and the Star Labs crew from her fellow TV show by May Sweeps Week, if CBS orders the last episodes of Supergirl, unquote. We've heard this rumor before, frankly.
Yeah, we've
And
heard from-
again, you would have to get CW Warner Brothers execs to talk to CBS execs and agree this is the way to go. And I see that as a major problem. Simply because of the vast difference in powers. A crossover between the Flash and the Arrow shows is very feasible because when it comes down to it, both of them have the same relative level of strength. One is much faster, one is much smarter. A crossover between the Flash and Supergirl, one guy runs real quick and the girl does everything else.
Yeah.
Frankly, she could run quick, she just hasn't run quick yet.
Yeah.
So having the Flash come in might be a mistake in my opinion.
Yeah, it would be weird. It's cool to have these superheroes cross over, but some of them may not mesh together as well as others.
Well, let alone, I don't think CBS has really done a credible job of Supergirl's powers yet. Her fight scenes, it's a lot of wire foo.
Oh, yeah.
And, every time she throws a punch, it doesn't look like there's much force behind it.
I see.
I'm not trying to go poo-poo on Melissa Benoist. So you just...
No,
you can tell by the way
that's
she
on my
moves.
list of
Yeah.
grievances for that show.
You can tell by the way she moves, she doesn't fight much in her life. She doesn't do boxing training or something.
I guess that...
To her credit, she hasn't been in a fight, but when you're trying to be a fighting character, that's a problem.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much accurate to the character. Accurate to maybe the character.
Nah, well, it depends on what period you're talking about, because even the teenage Supergirl was trained by Amazons.
It's true.
Yeah, but we don't have Amazons in this iteration
universe.
of the universe.
Not that you know.
Yeah, they could.
I'm pretty sure we will see it eventually.
We just had the android member of the Justice League, and we've had one of Superman's weirdest enemies show up.
Which one?
The Lumberjack. He was in the first episode.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. He's a Superman D-lister. But the Arrow's getting a new villain from the Batman Rogues Gallery.
Who?
Are you familiar with a character called the Calculator?
Yeah. Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know of by name and from Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
character is called Noah Cutter. He's highly intelligent. Think of him... Recently, he's been in the Batgirl series as her... I don't want to say nemesis, but just somebody who's haranguing her, because the Calculator can't stand being not being counted as intelligent as this teenage superhero. So they're constantly in a battle of trying to outmaneuver each other. But the Calculator's not a fighter. He's a manipulator. He's one of those guys who's able to see the angles and talk other people into do the fighting. So this character is going to show up on Arrow. He's going to be played by an Everwood actor, Tom Amandus. Although as a villain, that's right up the Arrow's alley. He's not a guy who's superpowered. He's just incredibly smart.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, Gotham has got a new actor working for it. Lori Petty is coming in as a new character. She's recently been in Orange is the New Black. Comic book fans will know her as the only person to play the live-action adaptation of Tank Girl.
Oh, sick.
Yeah. She was also in Point Break and A League of Their Own. You know, Lori Petty she's a talented actress, but because she's kind of waifish and thin and she has this raspy voice, I don't think she gets a lot of the roles she deserves. She's going to be playing a woman named Jerry in Gotham. She's going to be running an underground club that celebrates murder, and apparently Bruce Wayne is going to talk to her, trying to find out about this M. Malone character he heard killed his parents in the TV show.
Okay.
Which is kind of funny, because you know who M. Malone is in DC Comics?
No.
He's a character called Matches Malone. In original DC lore, he was a hired criminal that was running away from the Batman who accidentally died. Well, rather than release the body, Batman hid the fact that this guy died, used a disguise kit, and Matches Malone is now his undercover persona in the underworld. He's taken over his identity so that he can get into places where maybe it's not too easy to sneak in through a skylight, but he can walk through the front door as Matches Malone.
Wow, that's hilarious. Ironic.
And, wow, that was a segue. Speaking of which, the last story we have in DC Media News, Gotham has hired a Matches Malone actor.
What?
Yeah. They're asking Michael Bowen to play the character. Bowen was actually on Breaking Bad for a while. That's one of his more major credits. So, and the character was mentioned towards the end of this half-season break of Gotham. So, obviously, this is where it's going. There will be a Matches Malone. Will he die? Will Bruce Wayne stab him in the heart and steal his hat? I don't know.
That's a very good question.
So, I still have yet to be wowed by Gotham as a TV show. As a matter of fact, of all the things I watch, it's one of the things that's probably it makes me grind my teeth the most.
Yeah, I still hear mixed things about Gotham, about that show. I hear people who really, really enjoy it, but I've heard like the opposite.
Batman fans seem to really like it, but I can't find a lot of TV fans that have anything positive to say about it.
Yeah.
So it's just the way it's developed. We got general media news. It's for nerdy TV shows that don't fit into Marvel and DC. And the first one, oh, my inner child loves this. Kevin Bacon is going to star in a TV reboot of Tremors.
What?
Tremors,
No
the
way.
movie where worms were out in an Arizona desert eating
No
people.
way.
Oh.
That's getting a TV show, and Kevin Bacon, the man who goes perfectly with eggs, is coming to star in the TV remake.
Oh my god.
Wasn't he in the original?
He was in the original film.
That's
God.
the best.
He had that shoulder length, like Kurt Cobain mop top,
Yeah,
and wearing, like,
yeah.
denim jackets. Yes.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
Between this and Ash versus Evil Dead, the teenager I was in the '90s is so fracking happy.
It's very, very interesting to see so many things come back, and not just in comics, but like in games as well. Like there is definitely a kind of what year is this moment for I think a lot of us for this year.
Yeah, I know. Cable's an Avenger.
Right.
Kevin Bacon's making Tremors.
Freaking.
There's another Batman movie.
Final Fantasy VII's coming out. It's like, what's going on?
Show 4 will be opening in 15 minutes. Show 4 will be opening in 15 minutes.
I wonder what time the show floor is opening.
I need another one.
But believe it or not, are you guys familiar with the HoloLens, Microsoft's HoloLens?
Yes, I am totally on board with that.
It's their augmented reality glasses system. They're clear glasses that they project images on that overlay your current reality. It's not virtual reality where you're shown a whole picture. You're just shown a couple items, digitally projected items on the screen. Well, one of the project managers, Varun Mani, on the HoloLens, did a recent video where he started playing Halo 5 on his Xbox.
Okay.
And I'm sure this was played up. This can't be an accident. They recorded this. He had to hit pause and get up and go do something, but he took his controller with him. And when he grabbed whatever he needed to grab, he didn't feel like going back in the living room, so he turned towards one wall, clicked a button, and all of a sudden the image from his Xbox was projected on the wall via the HoloLens. And he just hit unpause and started playing again.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's cool. But you know what's going to lead into now? Because like if you're playing like Halo 5, right? and you pause the game and you need to go to the bathroom. You take control with you. You're taking a piss and just turn it on and you're playing it on the wall.
That's just what I need is another reason for Steve to take a 3-hour dump. Come out! I'm blowing up a ship. Come out!
Blowing up the toilet.
We've come to that, but that's really cool though, and that totally makes sense because of anything that Microsoft makes in returns to their products. They always have some connection with, whether it be the Windows Phone, whether it be Windows 10 to Xbox One. There's always some connection for each one.
Well, have you guys heard about the movie theater in Omaha, Nebraska? This came into my feed in the last couple days.
No.
There is an Alamo... In Texas, there is a chain called the Alamo Drafthouse of movie theaters. I don't know a whole lot about them particularly, other than the fact that because I've lived in the Midwest, I've heard of Alamo Drafthouse. They have theaters all the way through the Midwest. In Nebraska, they've opened a new one. And this one, I imagine, in a couple weeks, is going to be very hard to get into. Because the entire lobby is stylized in the form of an Imperial Star Station from Star Wars. No, I have images. I have a gallery here I can show you. This is an actual movie theater, a functioning movie theater in Nebraska.
Is that Palpatine's chair?
That's Palpatine's throne in front of a freaking aquarium. Let me show that to you again.
So cool.
Take a look at that. You got the aquarium back up here. That's Palpatine's throne. You can sit in it, and there is a mock-up of the Death Star in the central lobby. You click a couple switches on the throne, the Death Star fires.
Nice. Oh, that is so cool.
Here's some of the fixtures on the wall, like the data ports that droids use. Let's see. Here's the Death Star firing its beam.
Nice.
Here's the that's the wall lighting.
That's so.
The whole place is decked out like this.
It's so.
See a couple signs. That's a concession stand.
That is great.
I wonder if that's actually in a Star Destroyer.
You will not find the droids you're looking for in that place, but you will find Skittles.
Oh man, that is so cool.
That's a good close up of the throne. So, like I said, when The Force Awakens comes out, this is going to be impossible to get into.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it.
I'm sure they're already sold out.
Yeah. Oh man. I would die just to be in that theater.
Okay, that kind of segues into another product that I never heard of before, but it kind of gives me nightmares. There's a company called Tomica, and they make die-cast Star Wars toys. And I wasn't sure what it was, but apparently not only did they make them, they're making more of them. Imagine what it looks like when Chewbacca is a tow truck.
Getting the Cars vibe here.
Yeah, C-3PO is like a little two-door coupe. It's the stuff of nightmares, because all I have this image of is people ripping off heads and plastering them to the front of cars. And
I won't be surprised if Disney actually tries to make these in as real cars. Wow.
This is kind of weird to see Kylo Ren as like a 40s roadster. That's horrible.
Man, a product placement for Star Wars is off the charts.
Yeah, Captain Phasma has been mounted.
That's great.
That's the kind of stuff I stare at and I just go, what the blue crap, dude? This is...
People with too much time on their hands.
I know, I could see a lot of people playing with this. Don't misunderstand me. I'm sure a lot of people would be interested in this, but I'm the guy that's thinking, you took someone's face and put it on a hood.
It's that product placement, man. Like it's time for Star Wars. You see all sorts of stuff coming out. Cash in that Star Wars money.
Yeah. Do you guys watch Doctor Who?
I haven't watched the last half of it.
Okay, I watched everything but the season finale because we were at the convention. I'm going to catch up on that real quick. But the 2 episodes ago was the episode where the character of Clara Oswald, the Doctor's companion, played by Jenna Colesman, died in the show and is not going to return. That's already been confirmed. The actor may reappear for some flashback scenes or something, but the character is dead and gone.
Okay.
There was an Easter egg in the episode where she died that a lot of people missed, and it was only caught by a specific segment of people. Let me explain. Okay. Here is the scene with the Easter egg. And it's one of those things that unless you have specific knowledge in something that's not Doctor Who related, you'll never find it. It's a character of Clara Oswald talking to another character in the show called Riggsy. He's under threat of death. But there's something in the background that's a huge Easter egg. And technically, it's 2 Easter eggs in one.
Well, it's either that thing on the table, the box on the table, or the carving on the wall.
Okay. You guys stumped?
Yeah.
The Easter egg is this sign. This blue sign with this white writing. The white writing is actually... It has nothing to do with the show. The white writing is Arabesh.
Huh.
You know what Arabesh is?
No.
Arabesh is the standard commonized language in the Star Wars universe.
Oh.
But it's not the language necessarily that's the Easter egg. once that Arubesh and that sign is translated, it spells the word DeLorean. It's referencing another time-traveling product.
That's great. That's great.
Oh, that's funny.
So the internet lit up during a short period where there's a lot of people typing, "I can't believe it," and then like most of the internet's going, "What the freak are you talking about?"
That's really cool. I like that. That's awesome.
There's a little bit of sad news, though. There is a long-standing Japanese voice actress who passed away. Her name was Shirakawa Sumiko. She was an older woman. She died at 80.
Oh, wow.
She had an absence from a recent recording session. She was actually scheduled to work. And because she wasn't there, they started investigating and found out she had unfortunately passed. She was most notable for playing Saze-san in Nakajima and Doraemon's Desugi. I'm sorry, I pronounced it wrong. Dekisugi.
Okay.
She had a career of over 40 frackin' years.
Wow.
Damn.
And she only recently passed away. Fuji TV, unfortunately, is forced to hold auditions because they need to replace Saze-san, which is a character she was in the midst of playing.
Wow.
So that's unfortunate, man. And I think seiyus don't get a lot of credit because a lot of times by diehard anime fans, they're treated as these goddesses and individuals who are just untouchable. They're people.
Yeah.
And at the same time, she managed to navigate that nightmare for 4 decades.
Man. All credit
You know,
to her.
well, people tend to freak out when their favorite voice actresses get married in that country. Can you imagine what her personal life was be like?
Yeah, yeah.
Mama's son.
You know, it's sad as hell.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys see the video behind the Ghost in the Shell VR experience is coming out soon?
I didn't know there was. I know there's a game that's been in the works for it. But
there is not just a game. There is a YouTube video that is slightly like not safe for work.
okay.
But I sat down and watched it, and the YouTube is actually interactive.
Really?
Yeah, you can spin around in it, but only in a fixed point of view. It's not like VR where you can change your point of view by moving around.
Right.
But you actually get a sense of what the VR experience is going to be like. The VR experience is supposed to be very immersive and tell a story in the Ghost in the Shell universe.
That's interesting.
Oh, the video itself was a freaking killer, man. I sat down and watched it, and you actually see the body of Major Kusanagi being assembled. And I was the one that was like dragging my mouse around the screen going, I am in a freaking VR bubble. This is weird. You know?
That's so cool. Well, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have the networking, or we don't have the internet necessary here to play it. Otherwise, I'd spin the monitor and let you at least see what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But I would highly recommend it. It's very cool.
I'll definitely check it out for sure.
And there was a new trailer that was released for Mobile Suit Gundam Thunderbolt. I talked with Jesse about this about a week and a half ago.
Oh, is that the...
That one with like the Yoko Kanno style background music? Mm-hmm. They finally released a full trailer for this series, and I crap you not, it's supposed to be made around the same time as the original Gundam story. It's like a parallel story.
Okay.
And I sat down and watched the trailer. I am not a Gundam fan.
I am.
I would watch the crap out of this.
Is that good?
Well, like I said, I'm not a Gundam person. Usually, if I have giant robots, I need them to have some kind of extraordinary story behind them, or at least transform. That's kind of my thing.
Yeah. Right.
But the video behind Ghost in the Shell Thunderbolt is pretty cool. Hey, how's it going?
How you doing?
Okay.
Am I interrupting or
No?
Technically, yeah, but it's cool.
No.
Yeah.
I was just checking.
Okay, we're just sitting down here.
You guys don't happen to have an extra tripod, do you?
We did. You didn't bring it.
No, it's under here actually.
Oh,
You got an extra tripod?
apparently we do. You want to pull it out for him?
Yeah, I don't mind that. Sure.
It's like the projector.
Okay. There's a projector? Oh,
It's a
wow.
little itty bitty thing.
Okay. So this is Gundam Thunderbolt, or some people call it Cowboy Gundam or Gundam Bebop.
Recording?
It's recording.
Okay.
There's a lot of soulful like saxophone and clarinet music going on in the background. And all the art design seems to harken back to the original,
Oh, yeah.
what was it, 1982 show? Mm-hmm. But definitely a lot of the production is definitely modern
That guy has some
production.
drumsticks?
Yeah, I just
He's
noticed
got
that
drumsticks.
too.
He's obviously playing around in his cockpit before he's in the launch.
That's sick.
And those machine designs are ones everyone's very familiar with, obviously. Those are the base army models of the, I forget what they're called, but basically the good guys in the show, the colonists.
Mobile suits.
Not the mobile suits. They have a specific name for that mark, but I forget what it is.
I'm not that familiar with it.
And then, then there's a couple accidents, and the Imperial forces start firing back. And the Imperial forces, you can tell, are much better armed. They're using a sniper rifle in space, and this guy doesn't seem to miss much.
Yeah.
He's shooting the pilots in the face, not the machines.
Yeah.
Well, he's shooting the cockpits, which is actually in the center torso.
Yeah. And it looks like there's also going to be a very focus on the human cost of war in this series, which is something the original show really didn't delve into too much.
No.
And there's the Thunderbolt.
Oh, crap.
It looks like it's like an an A111 Thunderbolt. It is meant to take a ton of crap without stopping. It's got 4 shields on the damn thing.
That's really cool. I like it. I like it.
Oh, actually, it was an A10 Thunderbolt, not an A111.
Yeah, okay. Well,
And according to the trailer here, it looks like there's a date of December 25th set for something.
Really? This year?
Yeah, it could be at Christmas. It comes
Ladies
out.
and gentlemen, welcome to the second day of the Great American Comic-Con Las Vegas. The show floor is now open.
Just in case you forgot where we are.
Yeah.
But, anime debuts still do happen in Japan in movie theaters. And December 25th is typically a very good day for movie theaters. A lot of people are looking for stuff to do after Christmas is done, and unless you're looking to eat at Denny's, there's not a lot to do. So movie theaters are kind of the default thing to go to if grandma's too sick to have dinner.
yeah.
But the last bit of general media news we have is one that lit up the internet in the last 24 hours. At the PlayStation Experience 2015, they debuted new footage and gameplay footage from the Final Fantasy VII remake slated to come out, I believe, in 2017.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. I mean, date's very tentative at this point, but what they've shown so far, like the game looks
love it.
really good. The combat system is very reminiscent of the Kingdom Hearts battle system.
Oh, yeah.
It looks interesting, although I have admitted concerns. The last couple times Square Enix got involved in side-scrollers has not gone well. And one of those was a Final Fantasy VII game, technically. It was the Vincent Valentine spin-off game, if you recall.
I remember that, yeah.
That did not go well.
Yeah.
I played it for a little while. It was interesting initially, but the interest in it slowed down very quickly.
To be fair, that was their kind of first try at a third-person action game.
I look at this thing, I think Barrett's too small.
You don't think he's huge enough?
No.
Well, you got to remember, back when these games were originally made, they were made in that super deformed style.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for Barrett, he's not gamma irradiated.
No, it's not.
I also enjoy the music they put in there, which is like for like the first hour of the game.
Yeah. I like the fact that they maintained the Cloud's skinny arms, and he's wielding a giant sword the entire time.
He still looks like an emo bastard.
I think he should be a little more beefy to carry around that plank he's hitting
I
people
know,
with.
right? Other than that, though, but it looks great. I think that they showed a little bit of the battle system, what it's going to be, and I think it looks pretty good as well. They're not. Maybe they're going into more like Final Fantasy 13, maybe.
Well, we'll see. They've been playing a lot with systems because, unfortunately, the old-fashioned turn-based system that this game came out of is not entertaining anymore.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I still enjoy it, but I can understand why people want to have more action approach.
If there's one scene where this game may thrive, it is the scene where they're trying to run away from the base, the motorcycle chase.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that will be interesting to see.
Yeah, for those who aren't familiar, early on in the game, Cloud is trying to cover a truck full of his buddies by riding a motorcycle and swinging at people with his sword as he's riding down the street.
Mm-hmm.
That will do very well in the remake. But the other thing I'm kind of curious about is the scenes where Sephiroth is supposed to show up, where it had that creepy gothic music, and there he is with that dead-eyed stare.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to modify the music too much. It's bring it up to date.
The soundtrack really works today. It's the visuals that are awful today.
Right.
I'm actually rather curious what the weapons are going to be like.
That's a very good question.
I don't know, and a Mithril's the size of Dragon Balls.
I mean, like it's.
No, there's a type of monster in the game called weapons. Ruby weapon.
Oh, okay.
Emerald weapon.
Yeah, I'd never bother with that because by the time I got the Knights of the Round, I didn't need anything else.
Oh, that's such a boring thing to. It's awesome the first time you do it, but when you quad it, then mimic it 3 times, it's boring as shit.
Or get a controller that has an auto function. It makes everything much easier.
But the game looks good. I think it's going to be very interesting what exactly they changed to the game, to the original, just because, like...
The combat system?
Well, that too. Well, that obviously. I mean, that's one of the things that I think everybody would agree on, but, like, it's going to be very, very interesting because, like, you have a huge core of fans who love Final Fantasy VII and has fond memories of it. Anything that they would change that may obscure the story or may, tinker to what it was in the original Final Fantasy game may tick off a lot of fans, and that's why I don't.
I'm going to say something, and it's not meant to be insulting, but a lot of people will be insulted. So fine, I'm going to sound like a dick in a minute here. I was one of those people who played Final Fantasy VII when it was fresh, and I was 21 at the time. The crowd that they're making this remake for should not be my crowd. The crowd they should be making this for is a much younger crowd, someone in your age range, frankly.
Yeah.
You know, they need to market this towards a whole new generation because the older generation is already sold. You can tell that by the
Fervor.
agreeable fervor by people who are too old to be on social media, frankly.
That's true. That's true.
So they need to market this at a crew that is not mine. If it's good, mine's gonna. If it's bad, mine's gonna buy it anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
As story-wise, I don't think they really need to change the story. It's all down.
They need to change
game
all of the mechanics.
All the game mechanics are going to be.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I don't think the current generation has the patience for 4 hours of staring at a screen going click attack, click magic, click attack, click revive.
It'd be funny if they do the Halo treatment where like you play the game, but then like at a given moment you could push a button and it turns back to the old graphics.
No, I don't think they could do that.
All I can say is if
they could, but it would be really silly.
The one thing they could do that would piss a lot of people off, that would be very Halo-esque, is that you get to the end of the campaign and then all of a sudden it fades out and says, to be continued, 2019.
That would be... Man, you thought people were pissed off on the end of Halo 2 when that came out.
No. This would be a real troll move for the newer fans.
They would...
But basically nostalgia for us, put in this too.
That would give them. That would just that would be the biggest tease to every Final Fantasy game at the end of that game. I'll be like, wow.
And I know what you're going to say about Halo, but as somebody who plays the games, those people that were complaining about the story need to think about this a little bit. Because they're complaining that the story feels unfinished and rushed. It is called Halo 5. There are
it's the fifth installment.
There are 4 prior games of main story. There are 2 prior games of side story. No, 3 actually. I forgot ODST. So there's a lot of story already out there. You want the whole story? The idea is buy the other games, man.
Steve Johnson from Run Toys. Steve Johnson, your credit card is at concessions.
Steve Johnson, you are a jerk. We'll move into Marvel comic news, and first off is something that breaks my heart a little bit, but it is what it is. The last part of Secret Wars number 9. It was originally They originally expanded Secret Wars from 8 issues to 9 due to the length of the story, but now due to production problems, issue 9 has been pushed from mid-December to 2016.
Really?
Yeah.
We gotta wait that long to cover the rest of it?
Yeah, it's one of those things I'm disappointed in, but there's part of me that understands simply because 9 was an added issue. You know, their choices were to either release 8 as this supersized monster, probably would have cost $5 to $9 to get your hands on, or release an extra issue. They chose an extra issue. And if they're delaying it, that doesn't necessarily mean the story sucks. To me, that means they're trying to at least get it right.
Yeah.
You know, I'll give everyone a chance at delays. If the story rocks, I won't care about delays. If the story sucks, now you got a problem.
We don't need another convergence.
No. Nobody needs another convergence. But Secret Wars 9 is getting a special variant cover.
Sweet.
And it's one he's going to want.
Nice.
It's one Jesse's going to want because he actually likes this artist. J. Scott Campbell is making a special variant to Secret Wars 9, and it is all Jean Grey.
Let me see.
It is Jean Grey in her various forms over the decades.
Yeah. That's sick.
I love his art style. I will never hang it up in my room.
I would.
Well, this isn't hangable, though. This is going to be the cover, a variant cover to Secret Wars number 9.
I will probably hang that in my room anyways.
And they even has the alternative version of Jean Grey. Madeline Pryor is the Goblin Queen from the Inferno set.
Sick.
J. Scott Campbell. He cut his teeth early on in Wildstorm in 1992 doing Gen 13.
Yeah.
Morning. How's it going? Did we miss something?
live?
Yeah. Well, we're not live across the internet. We're recording a show.
We're recording a show. Yeah.
I'm just loving the hat.
Put on your get up.
Oh.
So for those who are at home wondering what's going on, we're being approached by people watching us now, and we got now Mario and Toad in the booth. Yeah, so they're taking a picture of right now, and they're enjoying what they see.
Keep it up, guys.
All right. Thank you. We did hear a little bit more about the new Black Panther series, the one that's being written by novelist Ta-Nehisi Coates. He actually had an idea for the character that they're going to use, and it's something that I'm ashamed I never thought of before. Now, the Black Panther is known to be the king of Wakanda, which is the richest source of vibranium in the Marvel Universe, and that's going to carry over to the movies, right?
Yes.
His costume is technically lined with threads of vibranium, is what helps him when it comes to absorbing the blows that he takes as a fist fighter in the Avengers. What Ta-Nehisi Coates is doing and what they're incorporating into comics is he's going to use those vibranium fibers. He's written it so that the fibers in the Black Panther's costume can now take some of the impacts they take, store that energy, and then he can release it in the form of, like, short-term bursts.
That's cool.
Some people are saying it's like the Black Panther has a force push now.
That's sick.
He's turned into a tech version of Bishop.
Almost. I mean, he added a little bit of the design as part of the story of what that's going to look like.
That's cool.
So the Black Panther will actually be able to use short distance kinetic blast now just from people hitting him.
That's cool.
Nice.
That's awesome. Yeah.
That's an incredible idea.
It's like a superhero and a Jedi.
And it's one of those things that
combined.
makes so much sense. Why hasn't this been done before?
That's a very good question. Why hasn't that been done before?
Well, speaking of done before, Jessica Jones brought the character of Zebediah Killgrave, the Purple Man, into prominence.
Yep.
Did you know that his story in Marvel Comics is even scarier?
Go on.
In Daredevil, there was a recent storyline that ended where he was in San Francisco. He's back in New York now, but during his time in San Francisco, he ran into kids. Zebediah Killgrave, the Purple Man, had 5 children with different women over the course of him doing what he does. Those kids all have the ability to control people just like the Purple Man does. They all have purple skin like he does, except they don't require verbal commands to command anybody.
Really?
They can do it just by thought process alone. Even worse, because their powers all mirror the Purple Man's, when the 5 of them found out that they exist, the Purple Man got them together, and he wanted the first thing he never had because of his powers. He's never had an actual family. He's had sexual conquest. He's had people like forcibly lie to him over the years, but he's never had a family. So he wanted these kids to love him. He commanded it. His powers don't work on these kids. But when the 5 of them are together, their powers are amplified, and they can command him. Without a word. They forced him to walk in front of a bus.
Wow.
They didn't kill him and put him in the hospital, and now these 5 kids were running into, I don't want to say a rampage, but they were doing what they wanted across the city of San Francisco.
So the moral of the story here is don't have kids?
No, it wasn't don't have kids. I mean, this is a way where even the story of the Purple Man can get even scarier, because you have 5 kids who aren't above the age of 12 probably, that now can do whatever they want. What kid did not want to do whatever they want growing up?
Man, all the ice cream I can eat would be great.
Yeah, and that I'm not a Daredevil reader in general. Oh, I'm sorry. There's 6 of them. Seven purple kids.
Yeah.
And I'm not a Daredevil reader, but that makes me want to go back and read this story just because this is like another version of horror, frankly.
Yeah.
You know, these are 7 kids who could take over whatever the frick they want and wouldn't have to lift a finger to do it other than get in the room.
Yeah, that's...
And given their powers, they can get into any room.
That's crazy. Oh, man.
So it makes everything extremely curious all of a sudden.
Yeah, definitely.
Marvel is releasing a line of 101 videos on their website. They're putting up videos to tell major parts of Marvel history so that people don't have to seek out all of their comics to get caught up on the current standing of the Marvel Universe.
That's good. I like that.
That's a brilliant idea.
Yes.
According to the press release, quote, "Please take your seats, class is now in session. Since its inception, Marvel Comics has been defined by hard-hitting action, engrossing storylines, and an ever-expanding library of some of the most heroic and complex characters of all time. Beginning today, Marvel is excited to present all-new series devoted to giving fans an educational deep dive into some of the most iconic Marvel superheroes you may or may not be familiar with. Start taking notes. This is Marvel 101, unquote."
Nice. I like that. Because, like, often not,
Taking
like...
us to school, I guess.
Yeah, because, like, most often not, there'll be some characters I'll be watching some of these superheroes in that I may have no clue who I'm about. I'm often go up, afterwards on the wiki and to look them up to see what they're all about. Mm-hmm. This makes it a lot easier for me to figure out, like, okay, I saw this superhero. You can tell me the entire history on the website. That's fine. That's awesome.
Well, this is actually better because if you ask somebody to give me an entire history on this character, you can get about halfway through the description before their eyes start to glaze over and they start biting people on the neck just to get away. But it's useful because that means if you have a specific need to look up a character, Marvel is now building a resource for you to look up that character. You can get it straight from the horse's mouth instead of my retelling, which may miss something or have changed a detail by accident or whatever.
That's awesome. I like that. It's cool.
And last up in Marvel comic news, it was just announced at a recent Brazilian Comic Expo what the next event for the X-Men is going to be in 2016. And the name alone means that something is wrong. Because as currently stands in the X-Men universe, there's a lot of the mutants are being taken away because of the inhuman Mpox that's making them sick. There's only one team of X-Men right now officially doing the do. There may be like 2 others unofficially working, including Magneto's. And, mutants need to be saved in general. Right? So the 2016 event coming, probably in spring to summer of next year, is titled Apocalypse Wars.
Oh, crap.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, and some people are saying, I've heard DC fans say, look, Marvel is copying DC. I don't think you understand, because Apocalypse Wars implies something completely different. Do you know that there can be multiple Apocalypse characters running around at any given time?
Yeah.
You didn't know that?
No.
It's
Okay,
the multiverse.
I can give this explanation to you extremely simply. Archangel. Archangel is the character of Angel who was augmented by Apocalypse and became Archangel, the metal wings and the whole thing.
Yes.
That was the initial way that was written. The story has changed in recent years. The process he used to create Archangel is he gave Archangel something that the Celestials created called a death seed. It gives someone powers over death. In other words, powers of potential mass murder. Mm-hmm. But in addition to all that, you notice that the skin of the people, a lot of the people that get these death seeds, their skin turns blue. It's a very strange side effect. Turns out the reason their skin is turning blue is not just as a side effect. It's because if Apocalypse dies or is taken so far away from the centers of his powers on Earth, the person who has the death seed slowly turns into the next Apocalypse.
Wow.
So Archangel for a while was the next Apocalypse. He became Apocalypse. Now, I know that Angel died and was rebirthed because he got a life seed. The character of Warren Worthington was stripped away. There's now some new thing being called Angel. Mm-hmm. That's gone. So you think, why does this matter? Because in the story of the original volume of the Uncanny Avengers, 4 characters were given death seeds.
One of them's already dead, so we don't have to worry about him.
They're all technically already dead, but that doesn't mean they can't be brought back or that those death seeds cannot be reestablished. Remember, Angel was pink-skinned for a while, then he freaked out, had ultimate rage, and all of a sudden blue skin flushed back into his system. Metal wings popped out. The Archangel was back.
Yeah, one of these guys was a Sentry.
Yes, the 4 characters that I last knew of that got death seeds recently was the Sentry, Daken, the Banshee, and the Grim Reaper. That's not counting the 5th guy who for a while was Death in the X-Men comics. Gambit got one of these things. He was Death for a while.
So is it anyone who's ever been a Horseman?
Anyone who's ever been the Horseman of Death has a chance to become the next Apocalypse.
Was it? Mm-hmm. Oh, the Horseman of Death. Okay.
Yes. All of the Horsemen of Death have the potential to be Apocalypse now.
That's crazy.
Could you imagine if all of those secret little vestiges of Apocalypse start waking around the same time?
That would be nuts.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That's where I think this is going.
Oh man, that would suck.
That's gonna be scary.
How would you fight against that? Seriously.
It's already hard enough to fight against a Sentry by himself. Think about a Sentry who's not just fighting the heroes of the Marvel Universe, but now fighting the Apocalypse version of Banshee, who's fighting the Apocalypse version of Gambit, who's fighting the Apocalypse version of the Grim Reaper.
That's nuts.
Yeah, but Sentry has the potential to be that guy.
Sentry is kind of a special twist because before his character exited that volume of the Uncanny Avengers, he wasn't defeated. He left to come back later. He went into the cosmos. He doesn't have the same mission as the original Apocalypse. Survival of the fittest, and mutants are the fittest to survive. Mm-hmm. He calls himself the Apocalypse of humanity. He wants to find out if the superhumans are fit to survive in his world.
Oh wow!
And survive on Earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Similar idea,
but he's the opposite because he is human. The Sentry's a human.
Damn.
That's interesting.
Yep.
Wow, that's nuts.
Speaking of DC Comics, we do have some DC comic news. Paul Dini is getting involved in a new graphic novel. And it's kind of a strange story because the main character in this Batman graphic novel coming out is Paul Dini himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Paul Dini is going to be a central character wherein he is going to be discussing his view on the weird struggles because he's going to be visited at different times as a heavily injured person, and Batman and the Joker are going to appear in front of him.
Oh, sick.
So you're going to get a new graphic novel about Batman that's from the viewpoint of a standard person. Oh, go ahead and take, man.
Oh, this is only half.
You can take that if you want. You can leave it there. No, that's a Kickstarter somebody we interviewed is doing. They're putting together a movie, a murder mystery movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's being done by one of the guys in charge is Andrew Duvall. He was on the Fangasm TV show a couple of years ago.
So, yeah, we're every once in a while we'll get some people coming by our booth and taking some stuff. And
yeah, but the reason why Dini wrote this story is because he went through a Batman-ish situation. He's telling the story of his own mugging and coming back from the physical damage of the same mugging. So this is going to be an intensely personal storyline.
Wow, nuts.
And the only other piece of DC news I have is that the first issue of a new event in DC called Robin War may have dropped a serious hint about the future of Dick Grayson in DC Comics. As we know, the Batman right now is Jim Gordon. He doesn't have the familial connection to the Robins.
Right.
And there is an army of kids running around right now who all consider themselves part of the Robin army. They're all trying to stop crime in their own ways. But they're being attempting to be centrally run, at least by Alfred Pennyworth, who calls himself the Nest. The story of the Robin War is that one of the Robins got over-exuberant and shot a cop.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
So obviously the Robins need to be, I don't know about culled, but at least honed a bit.
Right.
And Dick Grayson is the central figure because, he's back in Gotham City, and who better to know what it's like to be a Robin
than the original?
Yeah. The thing is, though, the reason why...
Get a raffle ticket. Please come up to the front counter, simply show them your wristband, and they will present you with a raffle ticket. What is the raffle ticket for? Well, let's see. Who would like to win a pair of tickets to the Force Awakens premiere taking place at Brendan Theaters in a couple of weeks?
I know we're not signed up for that one.
That's a little bit of what we have to give away.
Wish we could.
That's one prize they have in the raffle.
It's
pretty good. Not bad at all.
That's a good prize.
We will be announcing the numbers of the winning tickets. Again, if you have not received your raffle tickets, simply come up to the front counter where you originally got your wristband, and they will give you one there. Thank you much.
Okay, sorry about that. The reason why I said that there's a spoiler for the future of Dick Grayson in the comics is that the Court of Owls shows up in it. All their members are masked. We don't know who they are, but they didn't talk about the Robins. They talked about dealing with the Nightwing.
Yeah.
So it looks like Dick Grayson may be getting back into his superhero costume sooner than later.
Well, the reason why how Dick Grayson's story is relevant to the Court of Owls, he was supposed to be a Talon before Bruce Wayne got his hands on him.
So they may consider that a little personal.
Or he might be looking to say, just recruit him. He's already been outed.
Right.
Nothing left.
Well, we will move into general comic and convention news. We'll talk about news that isn't Marvel and DC related, as well as news about conventions happening across the world. First up, there's already a bunch of people who are posting online saying that they were approved as artists and professionals for San Diego Comic-Con.
Already?
Already. Several people, including Amy Meberson, James Silvani, Sheborg Massacre, the House of Dark League, Kevin Tong, and the Kevin Workman Foundation have all confirmed they're going to 2016's Comic-Con as vendors and professionals.
Wow.
Okay.
Also going is NinjaBot artist Patrick Ballesteros, and the Hollywood Sci-Fi Museum is making an appearance.
Oh, we gotta talk to him again.
Yeah, as well as they're promoting their new project now. They've got they're building funds for a sister museum, the Hollywood Horror Museum.
Sick. Sick. That's awesome.
Yeah, they need to talk to Tommy Castillo. So things are moving fast in the world of Comic-Con. Not to mention with their sister convention, WonderCon, they announced their 5th wave of guests.
Okay.
And they announced their guests in 4-person waves for WonderCon. So that means they already have 20 guests of honor signed for a convention that happens at the end of March. They've just confirmed Mark Evanier, who's the writer-producer and comics historian on The Garfield Show and the art of Simon and Kirby Studio. Agnes Garbowska, who's the artist on the My Little Pony and Gem and the Holograms comics. Gilbert Hernandez, the writer and artist on Love and Rockets, and Jamie Hernandez, another writer and artist on Love of Rockets.
Cool. Awesome.
That's in addition to a bunch of stuff already signed. TFCon, the Canadian Transformers Convention in 2016, has also confirmed that they have a special guest, Ian James Corlett. He played the voice of Cheetor in the Beast Wars.
Nice. Nice. Awesome.
That's a good guest to have because he has a very unique voice, and he could tell a story from almost a decade's worth of Transformers lore. However, having to voice a character named Cheetor, every time he says that, I just think it ain't easy being cheesy.
I was thinking the same thing.
At least he got past it.
Yeah, it's true.
One of the writers of the Steven Universe comics is creating a new series. He's creating a new sci-fi romance series called Curveball.
Nice.
Now, that's a writer of a Steven Universe comic, not one of the creators or one of the show writers.
Yeah, still.
It's something new. It's going to be an original graphic novel published by Nobrow Publishing. It's about human relationships and their complications in the backdrop of a sci-fi world, which I imagine would make things more complicated when you can VR talk to people by that point.
Yeah.
You know, according to the writer, Jeremy Sores, it's a science fiction graphic novel centering on an emotionally manipulative relationship. The main character is Avery, a waiter aboard a luxury diner cruise who's struggling to let go of his past flame, despite knowing deep down it's not their time right now.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that's something I think a lot of people can relate to.
Cool.
And last up in general comic and convention news is something more of a media item, because do you remember, Jesse, we talked a few weeks ago about about an anime film with like steampunk zombies in it. Remember Frankenstein was an actual scientist. He had perfected his science of reanimating corpses.
Okay, yeah.
They were like the main slave labor across the world. The second film of that is called Harmony. It was recently released.
Really?
It was a sister movie, and it's a different story in the same universe. I'm guessing it's further down the line, because the story of Harmony is about the struggle of trying to live in a utopia where everything is structured to the point where life is at its peak, but is life actually at its peak for the people living in it? Whoever is writing these films gets very esoteric and very metatextual quickly. This sounds like an incredible pair of movies. I gotta find this stuff.
If you're listening to the podcast, please send them to mspfright@yahoo.com.
On a free iPad. You'll have my attention with a free iPad. That brings us down to our WTF corner, where we have those stories from across the internet that just make you ask, what in the blue hell happened here? And thankfully, the first stories we have typically are video game related stories.
These are always fun.
You always enjoy yourself way too much with this stuff.
I'm gonna take a guess. Is it anything related to Fallout 4?
I don't think I actually have anything Fallout related this time around.
Battlefront?
I don't believe I have Battlefront either.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I know, right?
I'm not sure, because a lot of the times all I get before them is just the text and the text in the channels. Yeah, I don't have anything. What was the last thing you said?
Battlefront?
Okay, I have a Battlefront video.
Okay.
I had to think about that, because you said
gonna...
Battlefront. I'm like, I don't have military shooters. Oh, right, he's talking Star Wars.
Nice. I don't think anything's going to top
You got to
that.
be more specific, because Battlefront means a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think anything's going to top that Luke Skywalker getting turned to a pancake by Nate Yeti.
Well, believe it or not, the first video, I'm not quite sure what it is. I think it's one of the newer games, like Just Cause or Uncharted.
Oh, Just Cause 3, yeah.
Just Cause 3?
Yes.
Okay, This one is from the channel of a user called Gallo, G-A-L-O-L, on YouTube, and it's called Exit an Airplane Like a Pro.
Yeah.
That sounds like a dare, doesn't it?
No, that sounds like a
And to give
Cause.
And to give context to Just Cause 3, it is a sequel to Just Cause 2, and it is basically an open sandbox game of you as the main character.
Just causing chaos.
Yeah, just causing chaos. And,
Okay.
you're able to, like, connect certain things that should never, ever be connected, but somehow it does, and it works.
Well, I previewed this video to see what it was about, and it really is a pro airplane exit. Check this thing
Oh,
out.
my God.
Move. There we go. And there he is. He's got an airplane, right?
Yeah.
Just zooming across the countryside. And then, without warning, he just kind of wheels it over, and he just has to crash into the ground.
Okay.
You see that water tower?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's straight forward, and bam, and I'm not in it. Landed on his feet 3 stories down, and it looks like about 50 feet from the water tower.
I'm not surprised, honestly. Like,
Yeah,
that's
you can get away
something
with a
you
lot of crap in that game.
That's that moment
Yeah.
where the soundtrack should start. You know, the rock riff kicks up, and it's just there he is yanking out a gun and shooting people.
There's going to be a lot of crazy things happening in that game. You'll see a ton of videos come out of that, which would be really fun to watch.
It'll be eventually, but speaking of fun, the next video I have is from a throwback game. It's from the Master Chief Collection of Halo.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the retouch version, the original Halo game. I can't remember what the subtext of it was. Sorry, but it is the new graphic version, and it's from the channel of a user called Master Steve, S-T-E-E-F, and he calls it "It's Raining Chiefs."
It's raining Chiefs.
Yeah, it sounds like it deserves a soundtrack all its own, but believe it or not, there is a method behind the madness when it comes to that name. And there you see 2 players in the game throwing grenades down a hole, and there's something else down there. It took me a while to figure out what's going on, and it's going to cut real quick to later on. So you can just chuck a grenade, chuck a grenade, boom, and all these bodies come flying out, and it's raining Master Chiefs.
That's great.
Isn't that kind of metafiction? Isn't that kind of meta? I failed here.
That's great.
How many times have I been here? How many times have I done this?
How many hours did it take to build that many bodies and grenades down at the bottom?
That is great. That is awesome. That's hilarious.
It's just freaky. There's another video that comes from an old staple on the show, Destiny. It's from the PlayStation version of Destiny, from the channel of the user the Disco Eagle on YouTube. I couldn't make up a handle that great if I tried. And he calls this particular one Match Highlights and the Luckiest Kill in Destiny History. That sounds like a dare.
All right.
Bring it. There it goes.
Hey, Sony.
Yeah, the old PlayStation 4.
On the PS4.
Ultimate Kick 94. I guess that's his screen name.
Yeah.
Yep.
So for those who want to go at
There we go.
PSN.
There he is. He's using a sniper rifle. And
map.
I haven't played this map.
Oh, yeah.
But he handles business pretty well with that steel piercer, so that means he's a hunter.
Wow.
Yeah, I just brained him. Oh, you too.
Wow.
Got you.
Wow.
Got you. And he's on a roll.
Oh, he died. That was cool.
There he is jumping with a Hawk Moon and solar gun. And got you. And got you. And got you. This guy is a machine.
This guy is insane. Holy crap.
He's really good. Hey, how's it going? So there he is. Look at that. He nailed that guy from that distance when he just peeked out from behind a rock. I'd be the one throwing my controller at that moment.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
There he is, solar gunning somebody else. He guns
right.
down somebody else with the ace of spades. He just hit somebody who tried to come at him with a super.
That's nuts.
This guy is an amazing player, or lucky as hell. And he just one-shots another guy.
He
halfway
just
across
knows the map.
Yeah, he does.
This is the kind of guy I hate to run across because he kills the kill-death ratio.
He does. That's nuts.
And there he is just running around. He's got the gun. Oh, great. He's armed again.
Oh, weapon cache.
Yep.
Yep.
This is what he's talking about. You see all these enemies hovering around the heavy?
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Oh, nope. You're not allowed. You're really not allowed.
Wow. I'll be so pissed on the other end of that.
He's camping the heavy pack. He hasn't even picked it up.
Yeah, that's a tactic they did even after the change.
Yeah.
But
I remember this video now because that isn't even the lucky kill. That comes towards the end of this video, and it's disgusting how lucky this man is.
Wow.
No, wait, you'll see it.
Wait,
He's getting peekaboo with this guy who's just running around, right?
Uh-huh.
Throws a knife right in his skull. From like 50 yards away, you threw a knife in the goddamn guy's skull.
And that was a precision kill too.
That was.
Yeah, but even he admits, lucky.
That was.
I don't know, I long bombed the hammer and actually nailed someone at the end of that one. I didn't even see. I just aimed up and tossed it.
I actually got a compliment from my raid crew once when we were going through the Court of Oryx.
Uh-huh.
You know that section with the War Priest?
Mm-hmm.
I was hiding on the right with another guy, and we were trying to defend it, killing things coming out of the door. But there's a wall like between us and them, and one of the acolytes had ducked behind the wall.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, frick, bastard! And we're shooting other guys, and it's like he hadn't come out from behind the wall. So I stood back, stopped firing, and then I just took my knife and right when the guy peeked his head out was dunk right in the eye and killed him. And all I get from the team channel is that was good.
Wow, that's crazy. Holy crap.
The last video we have is from user Fernando Bent on YouTube and his channel. It's a Star Wars Battlefront video, and it's very appropriate for the season. It's called Stormtrooper Mistletoe.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
You want to know, don't you?
Yes.
You have my attention.
Okay.
There it goes.
All right.
Imperial Hanger.
Yep.
Okay.
There you are in a map full of TIE fighters. And obviously you're trying to infiltrate the base.
I'm actually curious, can you get into the TIE fighters?
I don't know. That'd be an excellent question, but something tells me you can't finish this mission that way because you got to defend something.
Oh, this is a single player mission?
I think so. I think it's a campaign, or I think it's a multiplayer campaign because I noticed other gamer tags. You notice what's wrong here?
No.
There's a stormtrooper on the ceiling, and you see there's another player like running by. There's a stormtrooper with his leg embedded in the ceiling, just spinning slowly. That's why you call this stormtrooper mistletoe.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, there's been a lot of like kind of weird glitches in both in Star Wars Battlefront I've seen.
Yeah, I apologize. I have a story that's going to make you guys cry.
Okay.
And this one touched me in kind of a special place as well. Are you familiar with a Star Wars droid called R2-KT?
Yes, I remember hearing about this, yeah.
This is an incredible fracking story, and it's so sad. There is a droid, like a pink R2 unit. It looks like R2-D2, but all the trim is pink.
Okay.
And it's appeared recently in several Star Wars media, which led people to ask, what in the blue hell is this thing about? It turns out that in 2004, Albin Johnson noticed with his wife that their daughter Katie was having a lot of trouble. She kept falling down for no apparent reason. And after a doctor's visit, they found out that their daughter, who is like 10 goddamn years old, has an inoperable brain tumor.
That sucks.
So, you know, the 501st Legion, which had been founded by Albin Johnson, you know, circled around the guy. And after the diagnosis, Albin had an idea to create an R2 unit that was meant to watch over her the same way R2-D2 did during his period in the Star Wars films. So the R2 Builders Club, as part of the 501st, got involved, and they wanted to build this pink-trimmed R2 unit. But she took a massive turn for the worse. So what Albin Johnson did was he took his own R2 unit and painted all the trim pink. And when he presented it to her, she immediately threw her arms around it. And this thing stayed with her during the final days of her life. It stayed in her room, and he kept it active. It whistled, it clicks, it does all the stuff that the other R2 units did. She passed away. But after she passed away, the actual R2-KT unit, you get why it's named that now, the R2-KT, was completed. And after that, it made the rounds in the convention circuit where people were asking, what is with this thing? The story came out, and it touched people in such a way that this unit now appears in the Star Wars Rebels TV show, and it is part of the Star Wars canon as a result.
Wow, that's sick. Wow.
And all this because of a little girl.
Man.
And that's sad, because here's a picture of her, like when she saw the unit.
Oh, wow. Wow.
You see, it's this kind of stuff that makes me non-religious, because I can't believe that any higher power would be cruel enough to take a girl who just wants to play and be a person and just decide that their life has to end right there.
Right.
You know, if there is a higher power, it's fucking bipolar.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about it, too, is, like, Star Wars has been doing a lot of things. I mean, not as the movie, but, like, I feel like as
the community.
Yeah, the community and, like, the people who are making the movie are kind of reaching out to these people. I mean, I get a recent case where the guy died a day or two after watching the home film, the premiere. Yeah, his dying wish was to see Star Wars Episode 7.
Well, they're very fortunate that it seems like the people in charge of the Star Wars films are very giving. But this is a whole different matter where Disney had nothing to do with the project, but it hit them at such a point where they decided that deserved to be part of their project.
Yeah.
And a lot of people complained when the expanded universe was destroyed by Disney because they own it and they had the rights to tell the story now. However, to me, that also creates an advantage because now you have one cohesive story instead of all these side stories that you can't tell if they matter in the Star Wars universe. Now you have a definitive telling as to what does and does not matter. So it creates some very cohesive storytelling, but at the same time, Disney and J.J. Abrams have shown that there are enough of people that they're not saying that the story has to follow their lockstep. If something matters to them, they'll do it.
Right.
And I think that's incredible. Oh, God, last time we had a show, remember the Star out in Malaysia, that gigantic light fixture art piece?
Yeah.
Somebody did another art piece out in the Cambridge Chapel of Light. It's done by an artist named Miguel Chevalier, and it was commissioned by the University of Cambridge during a fundraiser. The idea is that it's supposed to be a light show in their chapel that is that's a metaphor for knowledge. And even though the light show he came up with is incredibly simple technically, I understand why you can think of this as knowledge inside a chapel. Take a look at what he did.
That's insane. That's crazy.
Wow. That is the light of knowledge filling the room.
That is nuts. That's cool too, though, at the same time.
Well, yeah, I think it's very, at least to me, it's very metaphorical because, you know, knowledge can not just create understanding of a thing, it can affect the way you see a thing.
Yeah.
And that's very well embodied by this piece.
That is. That's really, really cool. I like it.
You know, I think that's awesome. I wish people would do just more random projects like this, except all you get is a bunch of people complaining, don't put your graffiti and your crap in my house.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about Japan and their ridiculous food.
Okay.
Kotaku and Brian Ashcraft put up an article of the most ridiculous restaurant in Japan. And it's called Macho Ramen.
I think I know where it's going, but this would go on.
No, you don't. Because we've had stories about the Macho Cafe and the Macho Beef Place.
Yeah.
All about guys flexing, you know, it's all about high protein and, you know, it's like the inverted Hooters of Japan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. The Macho Men Cafe is actually a play on words. Because the word macho in Japan English obviously it means like, you know, I'm ripped up and I'm buff. But in plain Japanese, macho with 2 C's also is a pun on much or more.
Oh.
So, when you go to the Macho Men Cafe, you're not staring at buff dudes. You are staring at mountains of ramen.
Wow.
I can feel my arteries clogging already.
I don't know, because Japanese are pretty low. They're pretty low fat when it comes to their diet. So this may not be artery clogging, but you will spend a bunch of time killing a toilet by the time you're done with this thing.
Oh my god. That's
you will have an Elvis moment.
Like that is something you don't eat. That is something like literally like out of an anime. Like you would see that like in cartoonish way, but like wow, that's crazy.
Would you like an example of scale when it comes to their bean sprout ramen?
Yes. Yeah, show me the scale.
Look at the size of it.
Holy crap!
That is what.
That is a smile of a man that knows he's getting his fiber.
Wow, that's nuts.
You know, I don't remember. I think it was part of the story as to how much it cost, but it's not really a major part of the story when you stare at that. How would you like to have literally 4 pounds of fries?
Man,
that's a lot of potatoes.
That's a lot of.
Now that's a killer.
The salt.
And that looks like garlic fries too, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, that's tasty.
Damn.
You know, if I have garlic fries, I need a few minutes to myself. I see garlic, I see cheese, and I think egg in the background. If you have me eat this in this amount, I will be able to make it to the moon. There will be a blue flame trailing behind me, frankly.
No, there will be a dark cloud around me full of dead bodies.
We talked a little bit about the rumor that's been floating around that Disney and Star Wars may be halting all production of Slave Leia merchandise because there was this weird father out in the middle of, I think, Butt Lick, New Mexico, that said, "Why is there a Slave Leia and why should I buy this for my children?" You know, he freaked out, basically saying it's a bad example for kids and all this stuff. And that's had a couple weeks to percolate because it happened just before the holiday. Mm-hmm. Apparently, it made it back to one particular person. And that is the person who had to wear that outfit.
Oh.
Carrie Fisher has weighed in on this little debate.
Yep.
And she had 2 answers to it. The first one, it was pretty good. The second one was better because I think she was getting tired of talking about this. Mm-hmm. And she said this to the LA Times, which means this is an actual newsworthy quote to them. In regards to the potential banning of Slave Leia merchandise, she said, quote, "How about telling his daughter that the character wearing that outfit, not because she's chosen to wear it, she was forced to wear it. She's a prisoner of a giant testicle who has a lot of saliva going on, and she does not want to wear that thing. And it's ultimately that chain, which is now indicating some sort of accessory to S&M, that is used to kill the giant saliva testicle. That's asinine," unquote.
Yeah. Here. Good job, Leia.
You know, I give her credit for standing up for what she worked on and what she believes in. However, I cannot watch these movies now without thinking, that's a giant testicle.
Thank you, Princess Leia, for now putting that into our brains.
Isn't that the ultimate form of feminism? The lady took the chain that was forced around her neck and choked the shit out of a giant testicle?
Yeah.
You know, I take your argument and I stab it in the face.
Someone needs to make a cartoon out of imagery.
Yeah.
Somebody animate it.
All right, and we're back with one of the vendors here at Great American Comic-Con. This is Kimberly. She owns a fashion line for geeky people. I'm not going to say girls anymore because that's one of those weird PC things that could get me stabbed in wrong company.
Right. Yeah.
What's the name of your line?
It's Girl with One Eye Fashion.
Okay.
And you're correct. I make geeky clothes, accessories, and apparel, custom work as well. It does most of my designs are more geared towards the feminine side.
Okay.
But
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, like I said, I do custom
he might wear them.
I have lots of guys who wear my skirts, actually. So they're just kilts when guys wear them.
Okay. All right. What made you put together the line? What was the impetus that got you rolling on this?
Well, I've been sewing most of my life. My mother taught me really young, and I got really into costuming in high school. I did lots of cosplay, and I kind of, for a while, was wanting to do my own fashion line, but never had time. And then 4 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer, and I lost part of my vision. I'm, in fact, partially blind in one eye, and that's where the name came from. It was sort of that, and that was sort of my motivation to take it from a hobby into, my business. This is what I love. I want to do what I love, and that was my motivation.
All right, where have you shown so far?
WonderCon, Anime Expo, Fanime, SabaCon out here in Vegas. I did lots of shows.
I'm starting to feel a little bit creepy because most of the places you've named I've been to.
You've been to?
Yeah, I've just kind of wandered through.
Yeah, I do a lot of shows, mostly in Southern California and in Nevada. I'm trying to expand out more, but it's just me. I make everything myself. I do my own promotion.
Are you in
Good feeling.
Yeah, I do. It's everything, and then it's and I'm also a full-time mom, so I've got 2 full-time jobs. Full-time mom, full-time fashion line. So bring a toddler around.
I've got 3 ankle munchers myself.
There you go.
And it's always strange because now it's not fighting over toys; it's fighting over dad's toys.
Oh.
My son for his birthday he looked at all these third-party Chinese like $100 Transformers I have, and he just said, "Dad, for my birthday, can I get one of those?" Show me you don't break the $20 ones
there
first,
you
please.
Go. Yes.
What are your long-term goals? I mean, I know you've got the line, but I think you've reached the same point we have, is that you can go only so far without trying to kick open a new door.
Exactly. So for now, my next goal is I want to actually set up a real website instead of just having here's my Facebook over here, here's my Etsy shop over here.
Right.
I want a website so it's all one place, easier to find.
Right.
I want to start designing my own fabric because right now I buy my fabric from fabric vendors online or craft stores. I want to design my own fabric, and then eventually, long-term goal is I want to have a brand where I have both handmade custom items and also ready to wear. So I kind of more the mass-produced, but I'm still designing them. Just I'm not the one sitting behind the sewing machine, sewing them, cutting everything out, and all that. So I'd like to have both ready to wear and custom.
Okay, so the fabric you got there, I know it's a Star Wars print. That's store-bought then?
It's a store-bought, yeah.
Okay.
Almost everything that currently is in my shop is store-bought. I have a few things from Spoon Flower, which is your own custom printing fabric site.
Okay.
You can make your own fabric, but on a much smaller scale. I can buy a yard of it versus if you're designing your own fabric and mass-producing it, usually it's there's a 1,000-yard minimum. I'm like, I don't. I mean, eventually I could use that much.
Right. There's that small part of me that wants to start asking about cost, but I think that's a little too central of a question.
Yeah.
I mean, is it a good turnover? Is it a good business to get into, you think?
It's definitely taken me a while to build it up. As I started the brand loosely, like I said, 4 years ago, but I wasn't putting as much into it because I was recovering and I was working part-time. So, but since it's been my full-time thing, and I've had a lot more time to spend on it and been able to travel to more shows, it's been a better return. And also, the more followers you have, the better you do. So just as I've been growing.
But what would be that moment that you can say, okay, I made it. That's the sign. Is it one of those cases where you're looking in Jennifer Lawrence is wearing stuff on TV? Or
that would for sure be I made it. Oh my God. Someone who everybody knows is wearing my stuff. Instead of I'm wearing my stuff. People recognize me for my crazy blue hair. And, sure, I'm famous.
That must be the difference in mediums, because if I'm walking through a hall and I hear people talking about comic books or did you hear what these guys said? It's yeah, finally!
Yes, yeah, you can I found my people, radar,
I had to ask because it's just so different looking at all the vendors on the floor, and the point where they figure that they're finally at the point they want to be is so different depending on what it is.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I have had that point. I mean, for me, it might be once I have the brand where I can make my own stuff, like I said, custom and then also mass produced. For me, that would be I've made it. But having, also having someone famous wear my stuff would be pretty freaking cool.
No, we're on the floor. Take a sticker. We're on the floor. We get people who are walking by. Take a sticker. Feel free.
Whether it be Iron Man or Superman.
I get it.
Next panel, starting at 12 and going to 1, is character development with Graham Nolan, Billy Tucci, and Mr. Darwin Cook.
Yeah.
Come on over to the panel room and enjoy to hear.
Character development is exactly what my wife would say I need right now.
Comic book world.
Yeah.
What else you want?
It's got a lot to say.
Yeah. Do you cosplay too?
I do also cosplay.
As?
I've done a lot of different characters.
Because just your base look, you remind me of the blue-haired girl from Icky Toast, and yeah.
I I've done a Rey cosplay. In fact, I did a Rey cosplay with an eye patch before I ever needed to wear an eye patch. So it's like a little bit of foreshadowing there. I kind of doomed myself.
So you're more method.
Yes. It's like now I can only wear people with eye patches. Which is surprisingly, well, here's the hard part. Usually the eye patch is on the left eye. And as I'm blind in my right eye, I'd be a little screwed if I did that.
Just details.
Radar bumping and stuff. Yes. I go for a highly accurate cosplay. That's like a thing of mine.
Perfectionist.
I am a perfectionist. So competed in a lot of masquerades. I've done Anime Expo. I judged the award there. Best in class.
Nice.
Anime Vegas. My first show ever, and they bumped me up to veterans, and we took Best in Veteran.
Nice.
so that kind of like set the bar. I'm like, oh god, now I have to. Everything has to be really, really.
That's
good.
the moment you want to put on a rookie card. You know, my first year, and I kick your ass.
I was like, they're like, oh, I'm sorry, we can't put you in the intermediate. I'm like, I've never done a costume competition before. They're like, no, it's a good thing. I'm like, are you sure? I don't know.
You know what intermediate means?
It's true. I'm like, I don't trust you. But yeah, so the last cosplay I did was Nana from the anime Nana.
Okay.
That was an easy costume. Just a punk girl. So everyone's like, oh, you dress like that? I'm like, no, it's actually a costume.
Who was that pirate chick from Marvel vs. Capcom?
Which one?
I think the second one.
I don't know. There's
Is
pirate.
that Ruby Hart?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I pulled that out of my back pocket.
Yeah, any eye patch costumes, people just send them my way because I try to, a lot of the anime girls with eye patches are like little girls. I'm like, I'm 5'9". I'm a little tall to be playing a little girl.
Well, you can still do it. You can just say, look, I made it out of high school.
I can do it. There we go. Yeah, I survived. But last Anime Expo, I made a Sailor Neptune costume.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Used my real hair that way. No way. And I also did a Bulma costume that I wore at Anime Expo and Fanime, and I made my husband and my brother-in-law costumes to go with me. So they were Gogeta and.
It's really funny. I think you could pull off a saying instead of the average put scatter.
Yeah, do like
Isn't that kind of the fun, though? Because as a long-term anime watcher, there's one thing I've learned watching all animes is that high school in Japan is the most dangerous place in the world to be.
It seems it, for sure. For sure. And I mean, you don't want to be stuck in the room with that cute little girl with pink hair because you know you're going to die.
Yeah, she's going to sprout teeth and I'm going to lose anatomy.
She's like going to pull a machine gun out of her teddy bear, samurai sword. I don't know.
And the worst part is even in the comedies it's dangerous because if you're not one of the people who's jumping off people's heads, you're one of the people who's getting someone jumping off your head.
Getting hit with everything.
Yeah. Every teacher knows how to throw chalk with pinpoint accuracy.
That's right, yeah. So I do lots of cosplay. I'm trying to do my first crossplay this January at Otakon Vegas.
Anything you can talk about?
I don't talk about it in case I don't finish it.
Fair enough.
But hopefully I'll be doing my first crossplay at Otakon this year.
All right, so that's probably your next show then, Otakon Vegas?
That is my next No, actually my next show I think is ALA before Otakon.
ALA moved to the last weekend in January.
Then yes. My next show will be Otakon Vegas.
Okay.
And then ALA.
All right.
We'll see you at ALA.
Yeah, for sure. I'm doing the fashion show there, so.
Oh, yeah. That means I got to make sure that all the females I ask are not too grabby, I guess.
Yes, please make sure they're pretty.
New requirements.
And they can walk with one eye covered.
Okay, why not just get them to juggle, too?
I mean, if it works with the outfit, for sure.
I am so screwed.
Let's get this checklist going now. Come on, Jeremy.
Shut up. It was very nice meeting you.
So nice to meet you. Thank you so much.
Enjoy the weekend.
Thank you. I'll bring you guys over some extra cards.
Great, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Guys.
So, the subject of the week is our trip here at Great American Comic-Con. It happened on December 5th and 6th in Las Vegas, Nevada, and unfortunately Anthony had to catch a plane while I had some work to do. So that's why we have somebody else with us. We have from American Robot TV, we have Mariano.
Yes, aka Cyclops Majestic. It's been a weekend, you guys.
That sounds like a hip-hop name.
It is.
Cyclops Majestic.
Sorry, Anthony.
Well, we have hosted by hook or by crook somehow every major guest panel there's been, and okay, I didn't know if you want to sit down, you can feel free, dude.
Yes,
Seriously.
Take a seat, bro.
I'm just going to take over the show.
Okay. Whatever you do you do.
Cool.
For a smaller con, it's actually been really easy to talk to the creators out here. A lot of them are down on the floor, which is just amazing. And it's been really simple to be able to just interact with these guys, which is kind of hard at the larger cons like Comic-Con, WonderCon, Kamikaze. Because you can see them all out there, but actually getting down to talk to them is really difficult. At least not without $50 for a photo. So, and a lot of the creators have been really opinionated, and I love the fact that they're opinionated simply because it means we're more likely to get their actual thought processes. I mean, how many times have you talked to a creator and somebody asks them a fluff question, so how did you enjoy work for the big two companies? And then they have to give an answer that means I'm still employed. But guys like Billy Tucci and Howard Chaykin and, especially Tommy Castillo gave a ton of answers that were so far off the cuff, I thought I might be in trouble.
Indeed, I did. I was quite surprised how they were censoring some of their ideas.
Yeah.
Just basically speaking to you as normal conversations.
I especially like the setup. Which Howard Chaykin do you want to talk to? There's a problem? And he says, you want the uncensored Howard Chaykin or the Howard Chaykin that's fit for everything? Let's let him talk. I want to hear what's on his mind. He said, and that's when the organizer just kind of tilts his head with that expression and just says, your funeral. But it was fun, though, because he did speak. Yes, we're going to have his interview available for everybody to listen to. Yes, there will be video of his interview as well. Yes, there will probably be some seal barks over certain words that he used more than a bit. But at the same
with the seal barks as opposed to dolphin noises.
But at the same time, it was all true. He admitted to things that were good. He admitted to things that were bad. He admitted that he wasn't even a fan of his own work on Star Wars. How many guys are actually going to say, my work was awful?
People are true to themselves.
And how many of them actually give those answers during comic book conventions? What was that?
I
couldn't figure out if that was a thumbs up, thumbs down, stick this up there. What was that?
I was going to say 0, but I think there's more than just 0. I just didn't know how to interpret that.
All right, I just need to know if there was violence coming, okay? There are not a lot of vendors here this year, but we did just get word that year 2 of this convention will occur. It will happen next year. And I'm looking forward to what kind of growth there is. I mean, for a first-year con, no, there was no Jim Lee, there was no Stan Lee, there was no John Romita. But still, there are a bunch of guys here who are legitimate names since the 70s forward in comics. Len Wein unfortunately had to cancel because he was sick, and that was the guy I was really looking forward to.
Me too.
But I still don't feel like I missed out because all these other guys are here. And I think that's great. Did you guys buy anything? Because I haven't been working too much.
I have. I found a shop that's selling a bunch of Comic-Con exclusives from years gone by.
Really?
Yes.
Thank you.
Years gone by. I'm really not big on it, but one thing caught my attention because, I'm a brony.
Yeah, I know you're a brony. I think I poke at that a little more than I ought to, frankly.
You know what? I don't get upset with that for some reason.
Okay, well, then we will increase it. Cool.
I got the...
you got one of the exclusives from last year's Comic-Con.
2 years ago, actually.
This is a 2013 exclusive.
They're both 2013.
Both. He's showing me 2. He's got a Rainbow Dash and a Derpy Hooves. That is a Derpy Hooves, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Oh, that's the fan name now.
Okay.
Official name's Muffins now.
If it wasn't for Brian on Comic Book Men, I wouldn't even know that much. But that's fantastic. You found something unique. I mean, that's hard. Especially at a smaller con. You found something really unique to bring home.
And for cheap, too.
Really?
$40 for both.
You sure you want to say that out loud? Because people might start looking for your source, dude.
I don't know how much I paid for it.
No, I mean, we're sitting here across from a couple of original creators, fashion dealers, comic book dealers. There's one guy who seems to specialize over here in CGC graded books. For a small con, that's a big step, man. Those are books that are worth like hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, and you just hear, come on and buy. I don't care what size your con is, you're going to take my stuff home. Which, now that I said that out loud, sounds like a threat.
There was this lady here, I forgot her name, she's a professional cosplayer, and she's, travels through California and stuff, so there's a lot of cosplayers that have arrived specifically for the panel at 3 o'clock for the cosplay competition, so that's good to see.
Good.
There is a turnout here.
Is anybody more familiar with the Las Vegas cons? Because this is the first one I've sat at.
No, for the first time in this city in my 30
Okay. And
my 35 years of life.
Well, hey, it's your first time here and you still have your car. You're out ahead.
I have a better chance of losing my car in LA to take this.
I'll take that bet.
No, but it really has been fun, and you always hear the stigma about new shows, and especially new small shows, that it's going to take a few years for something to develop, and I'm not going to sit here and say it's perfection, but something has really developed quickly. There's a couple of issues that need to be ironed out, but they're relatively minor, and I got to say, even though we were invited by staff, I'm not sucking up. The staff here has been really helpful. Both the convention staff and the sports hall staff have actually answered questions. They got stuff done when there was an issue. It's not like waiting around in Los Angeles for somebody to at least acknowledge you breathe.
Yeah. Or to make small implementations in the rules to
Yeah.
make it a little harder on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we take more shots at LA Convention Center.
It's so easy. But I look forward to the full review because so far this has been entertaining. I have been afraid for my life several times, and no, that has nothing to do with the city or the convention. That's my fear of public speaking. And now today it's even worse because now I have an egg bagel on top of it. And they have not been getting along well. It reminds me of a scene from like a recent Fairy Godparents where one of the fairies just downed like a huge burrito. And all of a sudden he starts screaming and there's these popping sounds coming from his stomach and he said, "Oh my god, the burrito's attacking the sushi I had last night."
It sounds like Cosmo.
That was so thinly veiled racist, it was awesome. No, I'm sorry, it wasn't a burrito, it was an Italian sub attacking the Japanese food.
Oh god.
So it was even thinner than you think. But
There's some cosplaying competitors there.
they are not. They're part of the Secret Identity show.
Oh, well, there
That Superman is the star, one of the stars of the show.
Oh, wow.
He may be around to help judge. I don't know if he's entering because it seems like a bit of a cheat. But I got to host their panel, and they're a lot of fun. Their show actually turned out to be really entertaining, and I keep my mind open, but no lie, I'm as much of a skeptic as anybody. If you put something down in front of me, my first thought is, let's see if I don't puke. But I sat down their show, and after about 5 minutes, I hurt my sides laughing. It's a little hammy, it's a little cheesy, but for God's sake, some of the conversations are the exact same ones people have about around a room about why the Convergence was so great, and somebody else says why it was awful, and why does Superman dress like he just got out of Hot Topic? What happened there? With the jeans and the T-shirt, and all this stuff is coming through, and I'm thinking I could have this conversation multiple times over. The show is actually really funny. So I'm going to look that up. They should start debuting most of the series next year. Secret Identity. You can find it at secretidentity.com. Sorry, that egg bagel decided to do a backflip real quick. I really do need to walk around a little bit while I'm here because most of the time I've been stuck in a small brown room.
Yeah, get some exposure.
I got a couple of possibilities. I have been wanting a piece of Billy Tucci's work for a while, but I fear because I don't have any of my poster tubes. I wasn't intending to be a consumer, so I didn't prepare like I usually do at other cons for that kind of thing. I'd like to buy a comic book, except I'm already dealing with trying to get several others signed. I don't know if I want to add to that pile when I finally got it dealt down to a decent degree. So I'm kind of in this funny midpoint. What do you guys think of the city? Because the city's been a trip.
It's not how I imagine from the shows I've watched.
CSI is not truth, bro. Not any aspect of it.
I'm not even counting CSI.
No part of it.
I'm not counting CSI.
You watched The Player? You're like one of the 5 people that did.
I expected this city to be a lot grander, and it is, and it isn't. It's grand in other ways I wasn't expecting.
Well, it's a resort town. It is made specifically where I guess, probably a third of the money comes off that 2-mile stretch up Las Vegas Boulevard. So I'm okay with crowds and people, but it can be a little daunting when most of the major intersections require a bridge for you to cross. There is no street side crossing for the most part. And it's not bad for me because I've finally been working out my legs, but it can be incredibly tedious.
It gets me antsy every time I go up this bridge.
I know,
The
you-
ones
you-
without the solid barrier.
Yeah, you have a pretty decent fear of heights. I know that. And that's why I was kind of concerned when we first started walking around, because I could see you start to lock up. And for a big man to lock up, that takes work.
Trust me, I've come a long way. I'm actually moving at a steady pace.
Okay. Anybody lose money?
Last night, yeah, we
There.
I gambled for the first time in my life last night at blackjack. 130 was on top. I believe so was Anthony, and he lost 50. I lost 20 and I stopped, and that's when Anthony called it night. And then it was Mandalay Bay where I played the dollar slots and won $18. So overall, I think I lost like 20, but if you incorporate the drinks and the food, it's about even.
You know, if it wasn't for the fact of how well established everything down here is already, I would say Las Vegas could stand to use a bond measure and buy a large-scale tram system to run the 3-mile stretch up and down the strip. Because there is a tram that goes from the Excalibur South 2 buildings to Mandalay Bay, and I know it goes, I think, a little further east, but it doesn't really. No, I'm sorry, it would go a little further north from here. But it doesn't really. There is no real mass transit system. It's just cabs back and forth. And that can be a little bit of a bummer because everyone's taste is going to be different. The unfortunate thing about mine is we're on the far south end of the strip, and most of the things I found interesting are in the mid to north end of it.
Yeah.
You know, there's a bunch of places in between, and I'm not going to sit here and say they're crap. You know, they're awful. They just don't work in my aesthetic. They don't work for what I find entertaining. So I would have to start pretty much at the Aria and work my way north for what I want to see.
That's a nice hotel.
It seemed like it. It's one of the few places we didn't go.
Is that Canary?
That's Miss Marvel. That is the Carol Danvers Miss Marvel.
Oh, now I see it. So yeah, there's some turnout for the cosplay contest. That's really pretty interesting.
Should be happening soon. I really hope I'm not asked to host again because I would like to be a person for a little bit. Yeah, I have been a talking head for most of the last 2 days, and I'm starting to figure out how boring that is. And I don't mean boring for other people or boring for me. I just mean by the fact that every time I try to sit down, it's just, okay, back to work.
Pretty much, yeah, you're becoming the host for this
I have run the same hours as people that stitch the Gap's clothes, okay? So, don't get me wrong, I'm poo-pooing, but I am enjoying myself. I mean, how many times is somebody going to say, we want you to sit down with creators who've been working for the last 5 decades? Do you have time for that? I dare you to say no. You know, but it's definitely livelier than I pictured. Early on Sunday, it seemed like really quiet. I was afraid it'd be like the Sunday go-home crowd, but they've come in.
Oh yeah, no, it built up.
Yeah.
It's the best crowd today.
Yeah, it's cool. You know, and I'm looking forward to year 2. I've been told we should expect an email. So I bet an invite is coming in the near future just to make sure that we're on board. If anything, just to make sure there's somebody else to talk behind the desk, I guess.
Have you been briefed or do you know like what marketing techniques that they're taking on?
I'm not entirely sure because the first time I talked to anybody about this was September, and by then it was already well established that it was occurring, where it was occurring, who was appearing. So I got involved relatively late, and I assumed at the time it was just to do like podcasting and reporting. I honestly didn't expect to do MC work when I showed up. I'm glad I was able to. You know, both for the opportunity to talk to people and both to kind of find out whether or not that's actually a part of my skill set. Nobody's ever asked before. But it worked out okay.
Definitely.
You know, if anything, I need to work on my personality and get thinner before next December.
Oh man, you did a great job though, Jeremy. Nothing to worry about.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll have anxiety later. That's just the way I roll. Anything you guys were looking forward to that you couldn't find possibly? You know, if the convention's listening and wants to make notes on what they could look for?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
More
I mean, outside
More
of
food
this-
vendors?
Oh yeah, food trucks outside. I'm not sure if
Yeah,
it's
there you go.
in Vegas.
I don't know the regulations behind them. I'm used to the way California and Tremano rolls. Although there is space out front to park 1 or 2 trucks without making a big deal out of it.
But the other thing I can think of that is just requires time to solve is more people.
Wonder Woman or Miss Marvel better?
You got called out, sucker. You didn't recognize.
I didn't recognize you at all. Yeah, you look completely different.
I guess I look totally different. I have a wig on.
but-
and-
I'm a Marvelite, so I'm an easy mark.
Oh, you were?
We were
Oh,
told that
good.
you were
Wasn't
actually
so awkward.
that you were actually asked to become part of a cosplay.
Oh, yes. I do it professionally, actually, and travel around. And
How far do you travel?
Well, Well, where's the furthest one I'm going this year? I think Austin so far.
Okay.
I go San Diego.
Do you have a second to talk with us? Or do you gotta go?
I just have to talk to her, and then I can talk. I think I have to do the contest at.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
And we're not here to interrupt your business.
I also have a local nonprofit where I visit kids dressed as Wonder Woman in hospitals and schools. So that's cool, right?
Nice.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Remind us your name again?
Laura.
Laura. Okay.
Very nice.
All right,
Nice to meet you.
Great job.
Very nice lady, but I have a feeling sometimes when she's visiting sick kids, there's a problem with their blood pressure that the doctors can't quite figure out.
What's the story of Miss Marvel?
Miss Marvel, Carol Danvers, captain in the Air Force. She really wasn't superpowered to begin with, but she underwent some Kree enhancement process and glommed some of her powers off the original Captain Marvel, who was an alien. That alien died as a result of some kind of like space cancer, for lack of a better term. And eventually she found out that she had powers. She got it dressed originally in this weird kind of bikini-style outfit. It was like a French-cut bottom. It was like a halter top with long sleeves. You know, it was very 60s and 70s, but very confusing aesthetically. And that is the second costume she's worn in her history as Miss Marvel.
It's probably her most iconic.
It's the most recognizable one of the four I think she's used. And eventually she's become Captain Marvel. So she no longer wears that outfit. The Miss Marvel moniker's moved on to a new character called Kamala Khan, the Pakistani Miss Marvel we talked about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, that was an entertaining read.
Yeah,
Miss Marvel has inherited like superpowers.
Not. She has enhanced superpowers. Would be the right way to put it. She would have been a baseline human if other people didn't get involved in her life. But she is also a legacy character because even though she wasn't initially called Captain Marvel, she still picked up that brand as Miss Marvel and eventually took the whole thing because she was tired of being considered second tier and thought she could do much better. Think of it as a decent way of comic book storytelling to introduce an idea of feminism into one of their heroes. You know, and as much as some people are going to groan about that, it's one of those things that's occurring in real life, so it has to come into the entertainment medium. Comics are affected by real life rather frequently. You know, I still have 3 copies of the issue where Spider-Man went to when the Twin Towers fell.
Oh wow!
I have two of them unopened. I read one and kept the others in the black poly bag.
So one of the silent issues.
Kree technology, then, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Kree are a major force in Marvel history, and because the rights to them haven't been lost in regards to selling them to Fox or Sony, they're free to tell that story. And Captain Marvel has a movie coming out in 2019.
She's got a movie coming. I'm not sure.
It's either 2018 or 2019. She gets pushed. That character's movie gets pushed around a lot by Marvel adapting their schedule.
You were talking about this cohesiveness of different names, and apparently she's had several additional names.
Yeah, she's also been known as Warbird for a little bit.
She's gone through several changes as comics tend to put characters.
Yeah, there was this period in the 90s where DC had a lot of legacy characters, so Marvel tried to differentiate itself by having a lot of their legacy characters take non-legacy names and try and build their own identities. And what they found out is a lot of people who were coming into comics and reading these new names had no idea who these people were until they switched back to their legacy outfits.
2019.
You were talking about like Editor or Nightmare. Now, since you've been asking all the questions, let me ask you a question, Jeremy.
Okay.
You know, if you were asked by Marvel or DC, I'm sure you choose Marvel, or who knows? I shouldn't put you.
Depends on what the question is, because if you're telling me you have the right to Death of the X-Men, screw you, I want to live.
If they gave you free reign to choose your title, what title would you choose? To be a creator of a new character, or editor, or?
I would like to work on a sequel of the Next Wave.
So a creator.
Yeah.
A creator for new characters?
I'd rather work as a creator, because as much as I would like to be an editor, I would have to admit I'd probably have the same problem Howard Chaykin would. I'd look at everything through my monocle of what makes a good comic book, and I don't think I can speak enough for generalities. I can only speak for the genre fans that share my same viewpoint, and I don't think I can get out of my viewmaster long enough to do that.
So when Howard was talking about that, though, I asked myself that same question, like, is it okay to have that monocle, to have this, like, overbearing pressure on what quality and what, his vision should materialize to become?
I would say it does if you have a definitive plan. And by plan, no, I don't mean to write out the next 36 months worth of books for all characters. But if you actually have a plan as to the major events that are occurring in the next 3 to 5 years, as well as the major plot points that you have to touch on as a generality for the universe, just make sure that the story of the universe is cohesive rather than one character talks about it, then 6 months later another character talks about it, and then another one talks about it as if it happened 2 months ago. And, that's frustrating.
Don't be DC.
Yeah. I'm not saying that specifically. It's just have a really good plan.
And as much as I think I could come up with a plan, again, I think I would affect the outcome of the books too much because I know what I think is cool. I have no idea what the masses think is cool, because if it was all based on what I thought was cool, obviously DC wouldn't be in business. Not a threat, it's just nobody would buy those books.
Would you guys both create like a baby character, and if so, would it be a hero or villain?
I have an idea for my own characters, actually.
That's what I'm saying.
I do write fanfics. I haven't been out of it for like 8 years, so I haven't written the same thing down, but I spent the last...
Who did you eat bracelet with?
No.
Oh.
I spent the last 2 damn years developing characters from beginning to end, and I'm still trying to make it perfect. So I tell you, for a good character, it's a long process to get done right.
You know, if somebody gave me carte blanche to write a book and just make something to see if it would work for companies, I actually have an idea I've been developing for a while, and like a lot of people, I've drawn from my own life experience. The book, at least as I title it right now, would be Super Normal. The storyline would be a family much like my own. 3 kids, a husband, wife, money troubles and all that, who, because of the machinations of another person, created an experiment where he was trying to create superpowers in the attempt to create it for himself. He wants to be the guy that's in charge. He has very low vision as far as what he's going to do with the planet, obviously. But he decides to introduce it at a beach where the family has to be, and it didn't work. He missed the catalyst. The catalyst is something that everybody uses every day, cell phones. So people who are on their cell phones more develop their powers faster and with more power than those who use their cell phones less. So my idea is that could create villains very quickly where the heroes have to catch up and still have no idea how to do that. But at the same time, because of the nuclear type family and everybody developing cellular and wireless technology, that means even the wife and the kids are developing powers slowly without any explanation as to why this is happening. And the father, who's trying to keep down a day job, decides that to try and make more money for his family without knowing that there's some kind of super villain or mad scientist out there, starts trying to figure out, how do I monetize being a superhero? So that created to me like almost a year's worth of stories of this guy slowly trying to strike out and stop villainy while trying to figure out what makes a good costume, while trying to figure out if face paint is a good idea, do I pull the ski mask over my head? No, they're shooting at me, stuff like that. And it just gets worse from there, and even when he starts to break it big and stop crimes, it's like, you're welcome. Do I get a tip?
Because
he's still learning. I mean, a lot of characters in comic books always seems like as soon as they put on the spandex, they have an answer. My guy's putting on the spandex like slowly over time, trying to decide. He's like anybody else. He's low on money, so he's trying to develop his costume as he goes along, and he just finds out that, oh my god, it's hard to make a costume. This stuff is expensive.
That's pretty good, because he's still got to pay the bills, right?
Exactly. He's still trying to pay the bills and do a day job while going out for several hours at night punching things. I can almost imagine eventually someone asking, why do you look increasingly haggard every day? My wife and I are fighting. What's the black eye about? She won.
That's good.
And then I imagine like really wild things happening, like the middle child who's mildly autistic starts developing like technopathy, can control machines. The youngest child is starting to run around and found out he can stick to walls, so it's really hard to get him off the ceiling.
Oh, the technopath here just reminded me of the character from Alpha.
Right, and
Does all do with cell phones now? How did they develop this?
The guy developed a nanotechnology to create superpowers, but he started running experiments on random people at a beach because he couldn't figure out how to make it work. He has all the genetic coding and they're injecting it, but something's missing that he can't figure out, and he overlooked the simple answer of wireless technology. The radio waves we're subjected to every day, which are more intensified as soon as we sit in front of our laptops and our cell phones and start talking. So think about it this way, and this is the part that really gets me. The selfie generation will be the first one to develop powers.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
And so that, like I said, it was a simple idea where it's like, what would happen if? What would happen? It started as, what would happen if a father suddenly developed superpowers? What would happen if a destitute father suddenly developed superpowers? What happened if a destitute father is trying to figure out money while his children are developing superpowers and suddenly found out there's something trying to kill me? I was just hoping for a key from the city or some like cash or something, man. That's my copyrighted. So,
well, you made this guy pretty altruistic.
That's the thing, is that my idea for a superhero was not necessarily a superhero. It's a dude trying to make ends meet.
Yeah, but when I say altruistic, I mean like he didn't really think like I could just rob a damn bank now.
Well, he's like a lot of people. They have those compunctions to do bad things. It's just not his nature. So, and I'm not going to say he's sitting there he's an angel. He's probably a guy that gets frustrated with people like anybody else. He yells at stuff. But I kind of drew from my own life experience because I am not the kind of guy that although I will start a fight, I'm not looking to cause pain on people. So that's what I drew from. You know, I'm antagonistic. I'm not going to say I'm violent, and the guy's going to have the same issue.
Okay.
You know, think of it just like me, somebody whose mouth gets him in more trouble than his fist can answer.
That's good though. So yeah, he's not. Well, I guess he was a superhero, and it almost sounds like.
I had it planned out to a point where eventually he could find his road as a superhero. Now he's got to find out how to balance his secret as a superhero because he hasn't told anybody, and that's one thing that frustrates me in comics. A lot of people find out secret identities really quickly. But you know, he's actually being a superhero and starting to get money from it. Then he has to explain to his wife, who has no idea and could punch his lights out, where the extra money is coming from. So he's got to come up with his excuse. Then he's got to figure out how to get the goddamn 3-year-old off the ceiling.
How about
figure out what happened to the TV.
Yeah, why is my TV talking to me? Hi.
Come on in.
Oh, come on in.
Introduce her.
Yeah. We have a quick guest. We have Laura coming in. She is dressed as Miss Marvel today. The Carol Danvers Miss Marvel. She was Wonder Woman yesterday. Jesse is breaking stuff. That was a superhero catch. That was awesome.
Those were my superhero
She's got a
reflexes
mic right in
right
front
there.
of her. All right.
Oh, right here.
Yeah. So, when we talked to you a couple minutes ago, you said you have your own nonprofit?
Yes, that is true. So my nonprofit is called Heartfelt Heroes, and with that I go to hospitals, women's shelters, elementary schools, read books, everything dressed as Wonder Woman.
Nice.
Sometimes Supergirl. I do Supergirl too, so that's fun.
What kind of reactions do you get from the kids? Because there's got to be the gamut of excited to see you to, what are you doing?
Yeah, they get pretty excited. Well, it's interesting. Different ages act different ways. The little kids love me unless they're little boys. Little boys are like, gross. But teenage boys really like me. So it just depends on the gender and the age, how excited they get.
Have you ever had that moment where you go to visit a teenage boy and he just looks at you and suddenly clicks a button and goes, nurse? Nurse?
No, but they want their picture, show all their friends, Instagram it. Like, they get excited. So
That's awesome.
It works.
How often do you visit?
So I go to a different local hospital almost every week. And then I go to the women's shelter and we do crafts with them. And then I do big events like I play baseball with adults and kids with disabilities and all kinds of stuff. So
Okay.
So yeah, that's what I do. And then I'm also a costume designer. I own my own costume business where I specialize in superhero costumes.
Wow. Okay.
And I professionally cosplay. My cosplay name is Viva WW, like Viva Las Vegas.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're a Vegas native then?
Not originally, but for like the last 10, 15 years. So I count it.
When did you decide to make that move?
To Vegas?
To Vegas. Where'd you come from, actually?
Salt Lake City, actually.
Okay.
It was cold. Oh, yes, this way? It was cold. I like the sunshine much better.
Okay. So you're from Salt Lake. Is it a big difference in culture between here and there?
You know what? Actually, the Salt Lake Comic-Con is huge. Have you guys ever been to that one?
No, this is our first foray out of state. We're from California.
Oh, you are?
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah, the Salt Lake City one, I was there in, I guess, September. It was, as far as size, I think right behind New York. So San Diego, New York, Salt Lake City. And they actually beat China for the most people in costume. It was like 1,300 people.
You beat the Chinese?
In one place. Yeah.
Wow.
We now have like the Guinness Book of World Record.
You can put that on a resume. We beat the Chinese.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool. It was pretty fun.
Awesome. And is there a big culture shock? Because I know that Utah has a reputation as a pretty conservative state.
Well, you would be surprised how many nerds there are. Utah seems to breed the same, nerd pop culture. There maybe isn't quite as much skin showing, per se, in cosplays, but yeah, the Salt Lake one is probably 4 times the size of the Vegas one.
Okay.
Not this one, but even our big one.
Right. And just to make sure I don't say anything stupid, what religion are you?
I am Mormon.
Okay.
Right there, right?
I'm just double checking. I'm technically agnostic. I believe something's out there. I just don't think organized religion doesn't work for me.
Yeah, me
but,
too.
I practice a lot of what I call non-aggression stuff. You do what you do, I do what I do, we're all good.
I agree.
Which also means I have a lot of people going, have you found Jesus? Nope, haven't looked. Do you have any major costume goals upcoming? Or?
Well, let's see.
I mean, I know you're working designing costumes for other people.
Right now I'm designing the Dawn of Justice Wonder Woman for myself to wear, but we just finished October. I did a black and silver Wonder Woman, and we did Half Day of the Dead makeup, and it was so cool. Even Linda Carter, do you know who Linda Carter is?
Absolutely.
The original Wonder Woman. She
We're sitting
put my
here.
picture
I mean,
on her. She put my picture on her actual Facebook page.
Nice.
Yeah. And then we did. I designed a all pink Wonder Woman for breast cancer awareness, and a lot of the DC artists, like the Finches and stuff, all tweeted it out. So those were the big ones that I just finished, and then, like I said, into the new year, it's that Dawn of Justice Wonder Woman is really taking my time.
Excellent. Do you have anything else in the pipeline, or?
No, as far as costumes, just getting the Comic-Con schedule.
Okay.
Excited.
I have a question. Are you going to WonderCon?
I believe so. I have a sponsor, Flex Comics, if you've ever heard of them. They do
I have.
fitness. Okay, so I am their official cosplayer.
They're the guys that do the Bros Do You Lift t-shirts and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
it's like lifting comic book stuff.
Yeah.
So I go with them everywhere, and so I'm pretty sure they're going to WonderCon. We're going to San Diego Comic-Con, and I know the Los Angeles Fit Expo because we do all the fitness stuff too. So.
It's just a question that occurs to me because I'm working right now trying to put together an off-site Avengers photo shoot. Not like a huge group, but just like a couple photographers and working with the LA backdrop, like a couple alleyways to make it a little out of the norm. And if you'd be interested, I'd like to have you.
Yeah, sure. Give me your information.
Absolutely. I have these little things here that usually help with that.
Perfect.
Go ahead. And, if you're interested, great, email me. If not, understand. Because it's really weird when 40-year-old people walk up and say, hey, you want to follow me out of here for a little bit?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Kamikaze, we had that.
Yeah, that went really well.
Well, and you can also find, like I said, my social media is all Viva WW.
Okay. Are all of your social media accounts Viva WW?
Yeah.
Okay.
Viva WW Cosplay. It used to be Viva Wonder Woman, but I've gotten so big now and started doing stuff with DC Comics.
Yeah.
I kind of had to.
Yeah, I'm sure sooner or
lose
later
the
you actually hit
copyright.
that echelon where DC says, okay, we've noticed you. Stop.
Yeah. So, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, it's all Viva WW Cosplay.
All right. Well, it was really great
cool.
meeting you. Thank you for coming by.
Nice meeting you guys, too. Thank you.
Take care and enjoy.
See you.
All right, we're back at Great American Comic-Con with one more impromptu interview, and this is Christian. What are you promoting at the convention?
Well, I have a graphic novel. I've been a graphic novelist since I was 18. That's 20 years ago. And I first published my first graphic novel, still on the same character, Big Boss.
Wow.
Way back in high school, back in Canada. And so we're in Las Vegas now, and I have a collection of a 5-issue miniseries, Big Boss Gun for Hire, and it's collected into one full story. And we've also shot a live-action film.
Really?
Short film, yeah. And that's coming out in the new year. We're just doing the color grading now, and
nice.
We just finished that actually.
If I can ask you a non-product related question for a minute.
Sure.
It seems like the convention community is getting a lot more broad. People are traveling further and further distances. And I have not traveled. This is the first time I've gone out of state for a convention, let alone you've come internationally. Is it difficult to take your materials and keep it in decent condition while traveling this far?
Well, that's a great question. However, I live here now.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So,
I misplaced the question.
Yeah. Well, it's okay, but we moved here 2 years ago. I'm from Canada. I met my wife in New York. I was networking there through fine art galleries, mostly in Chelsea and Soho, because I do a lot of fine art as well. So I was networking, and we met, and then we decided Las Vegas because it's a great industry here. It's close to LA, great nature. It's got everything, really. So in terms of bringing things over, I didn't really encounter
that problem.
Yeah.
It's okay. What type of character is Big Boss? Explain it to me so that I can relay it to others.
Well, Big Boss is a slightly aging, famous, infamous assassin.
Okay.
And he's very reclusive. And he's called Big Boss because he likes to do jobs his way. You know, he tells you how it's going to go down, and it's going to go down that way to a T.
Right.
And so in the graphic novel, the premise is that a sexy vixen and her partner come out of the woodwork. They're up and coming, and they're out to get him. And she's got kind of a secret past that Big Boss will soon find out. And she and her partner get between his jobs, and they're trying to draw him out.
Okay.
So they can assassinate him for this reason that is going to be revealed in the final climactic showdown.
So you're coming towards the end of the story?
Yeah, I'm just...
no, I mean, are you literally coming towards the end of the story of the character, or is this still going to be an ongoing anthology?
Well, he's not dead at the end.
Okay.
But it is a complete... it's a complete...
story arc?
Yeah,
Okay.
It was originally a 5-issue miniseries, and it's a complete story. It's very, very cinematic in nature, the way it's written. And it's certainly a page turner too. Like it's very, it uses a lot of it's written like a comic book,
right?
But the scope is very cinematic.
Okay. Have you ever gotten calls from Konami asking about a character named Big Boss in a graphic novel? Because that seems like something they might stick their noses into.
I've heard of it, but I mean, I don't know when they created their Big Boss, but I created my Big Boss when I was maybe 8 or 9.
Okay.
So I'm 38 now.
Might be some legacy in there.
Yeah. So,
okay.
I mean, I also signed my name CSA, and I know there's a lot of different organizations that have the same acronym.
Right.
So, I don't know. I'm not going to stop.
Okay. If somebody from a larger company approached you and said, we like your work, we want you to work on one of our other series, which one would you be excited to grab and try to make your own?
Mainstream?
Yes.
Oh, that's a fantastic question. I love trying new things. So, I'd love to do like Superman actually. The reason for that is because initially I think growing up I would have leaned towards doing Batman, I think he was my, but Superman, I'd love to kind of do something totally different with him, something more
human,
Batman-esque, in a way. And one of my favorite Superman, if I may kind of interject, is Superman 3.
Okay.
Which, I love like when he fights himself.
Yeah.
I love
Peanuts in the bar.
Yeah,
Okay.
Exactly. It's very kind of like Hancock, And there's so many great elements in that film that are like really stuck with me, But yeah, that's the character of Superman.
Okay. When you're crafting a character, do you start from a particular look? Do you start from background? Do you get as far as like character foibles, tics, and irritations?
Well, I create a lot of characters commercially because I do a lot of commissions professionally. So
once again, the cosplay contest
when I craft them, should I talk?
I'd hold for a second.
Being part of the cosplay contest, come to the panel room. Otherwise,
it's all fair. I mean, we can't control that.
Come on in at the panel room.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Yeah. So, well, when I'm creating for somebody else, they give me a guideline, and then I create characters based on that. When I create for myself, they're very organic, and a lot of my characters come from kind of my adolescence. A lot of those characters kind of resurface and reinvent themselves as I develop. So, I create based on inspiration. So, like for example, I have another character called Tech, and one of the initial inspirations for it was a scene from Superman 3, where at the end, if you recall, the villain is thrown into some wiring, and he's like just absorbed into it, covered, and that stuck with me so long, and so I created a similar character that's kind of very much like Beauty and the Beast-ish in storyline, where he's dealing with his vanity, but his kind of handicap, or I'm not sure, his vice, is that he's meshed with technology.
Okay, I enjoy that. Are there any stories that you consider, if somebody came to you and said, I want to get into comics, and I love your stuff, but where should I start? What's a story that you go to when you tell people, this is a story that will make you a believer in comic books as a medium?
Well, that's a
fantastic it's so easy to say, Big Boss, buy 10 of them. But
no, that doesn't actually, I'm not that tunnel-minded, you know. But actually, the story that I always come back to that left a great impression is I would highly recommend reading anything by Will Eisner. Will Eisner. You know, I mean, obviously he wrote a book on sequential art.
Yes.
And sequential comics. But what left a huge, massive impression on me was, I mean, I used to love going through bins, you know. I had this shop that I always went to, and I used to find these black and white Spirit reprints published by Warren Publishing.
Wow.
If you can still find those. They used to do eerie and creepy, you know?
Yes.
So they were black and white inside, great painted covers by other artists, usually, sometimes Will Eisner. And, I mean, just the storytelling alone. I mean, it's so simple in a way and so eloquent. And then any of his graphic novels, you know, A Contract with God, what was the last one? Into the Heart of the Storm.
Don't recall myself. I don't recall myself. I'm an admitted Marvelite, so it's sometimes it's hard for me to branch out far enough into independent books to get a full range of story in this because I've actually read up on 5 decades of continuity, and there's not much more room there. You know.
Yeah, I like independent stories like that. I like either short stories or all kind of just a condensed story. Serialization is really exciting.
Yes.
You know? But I just love like a complete story. I love the satisfaction. I love like I mean, I'm sure like serialization still has like the beginning, the middle and the climax, and the denouement and all that. But yeah, I mean, Will Eisner, I just left such an impression. I mean, there's the art, the storytelling, and the legacy. Really, he left. He's brilliant.
Okay, yeah, that's great. If people are looking for your work, where can they find it?
Well, they can find the digital copy at Comixology.com. There's a Big Boss Gun for Hire. Search for that.
Okay.
I have a website which is csa1.ca. Through the link on the website, you could find print-on-demand copies of my comic and digital downloads. And currently, it's distributed locally through Las Vegas.
Okay. Well, it was wonderful meeting you, man. I'm glad we did.
So much.
Thank you.
I love talking to you guys.
Thank you. It is time for us to start wrapping up our gear and get ready to go home.
Hold on. So
what?
What was that gift you were teasing about last week?
Oh, right, Christmas. Okay. I have 2 presents I need you to grab because I bought them for Steve, I bought them for you, I bought them for V. V I can ship because I don't think you're driving that one to her.
Okay.
Let me grab this stuff.
Okay. Talk.
You need to get better at this stuff, bro.
I know. You got a Santa bag for that.
No, I don't have a Santa bag. This is my freezer bag. This is the stuff I carry cold stuff home from the grocery store in. So it was the only thing large enough. And we'll start with Steve's because I know his is on top. And you know how Steve... Oh, okay. You know how Steve can get kind of randomly apathetic at points. There are points where it just seems like he didn't care.
Yeah.
Okay, so I started thinking about the kind of stuff that might fit that kind of aesthetic. So I went on to thickgeek.com and I got him an extra large black sweatshirt. And I was like, what kind of black shirt? They have all this geeky stuff. They have all this awesome stuff. What do you get for the guy who says meh to everything? So I got him a black extra large, double XL black sweatshirt that says meh. So take that back to him with my compliments.
Okay.
You are harder for me.
Really?
Yes, you were harder because I know you're geeky. And I know you're interested in Transformers and My Little Pony, but at the same time, I don't have a great basis of knowledge of My Little Pony. I can't do that.
Don't tell me you got that one.
No, I skipped the My Little Pony thing entirely,
Okay.
So don't worry about that.
All right, because I got that shirt.
And your collection in Transformers, I'm quite confident eclipses mine. So I figured...
Really?
I think so.
You got way more...
I have more specialized sets, but I think you have more pieces.
Mostly Hasbro stuff, but...
It still counts. They're Transformers. Right. You know, they change shape. I think that's a requirement.
Okay.
So for you, I tried to get a little more... I thought a little more out of the box, and I knew that as a result of this show, you're becoming more of a Marvel fan. So I'm like, we got to get him something that can decorate his house with that'll look cool. And then I thought, Sideshow Collectibles, but I'm broke. So I went to the next best thing. I went back on ThinkGeek, and I got into their collection of Marvel wall lamps. You got yourself a Mjolnir you can stick in your wall that lights up, brother.
Oh, shit.
No, that's for you. Merry Christmas, brother.
What is that?
Is a Mjolnir wall lamp. It looks like somebody bashed Mjolnir into his wall, and he can turn it on, and it lights up in this
really
ice
awesome.
blue.
That's really awesome.
So you can hang that up, and every time you're about to pound your wall, you can think of me.
Yeah.
Mjolnir, yeah, Thor's hammer. That's Thor's hammer. I got something for V, but because she actually listens to the show in her spare time, I can't divulge that as of yet. But she will get something in the mail in the relative near future. Other than that, yeah, I think it's time for us to start breaking down and start getting our stuff ready to get back to California, home of the Schwarzenegger. And I think that I'm interested to come back next year.
Oh, yeah.
Despite all the work I did, I've had an interesting time just because I've met a bunch of people I wouldn't normally meet. Hopefully next time I'm left enough time where I can actually buy something. This is the first con in years I don't have some type of souvenir to go home with. So I do think it's cool, though. So on behalf of American Robot TV and the Rollin' 20s, we are getting out of here. What is our next show? We actually haven't talked about what we're doing next.
I had several ideas I wanted to do.
Like what?
One was to wrap up on Secret Wars, but since
that won't finish till next year.
That's
Yeah.
out of the question. Another one I had is one other idea I had was since all of us were former City of Hero players, I think maybe we can regale on some of our favorite moments with favorite characters.
Maybe time for a little bit of story.
There was a third idea, but it's escaping my mind.
Okay, because the ideas I came up with are to go back to an award-winning comic called The Next Wave, which was kind of a Marvel farce on superheroes. Okay. I've also thought about trying to key into now that some of the storyline is developed, of trying to find out more about the Jim Gordon or depowered Superman.
I find that a little more fascinating.
I do. I want to see how this character reacts. For the first time ever, he's an absolute human for most intents and purposes. I find that to be a groovy idea, and it's a place I've never gone with him before, so I'm immensely curious. But I want to make it kind of... Oh, got a good idea, because the last comic we talked about was the first 6 issues of Miss Marvel, right?
Yes.
The new teenage hero that struck Marvel gold. What if we start talking about the teenage hero that recently struck DC gold, and we find out about the Babstar version of Batgirl? We saw what Marvel did in Teenage Heroes. Let's see what DC did with their college hero.
Okay.
That sounds like a plan. Since we're not DC literate, I'd say the first few issues of that story arc. I will have to look up the exact numbers because I think Babstar started at like 33. But I will do some research, and that sounds like a plan, actually. All right, so next time we get together, we'll be back in our home studios, and we will talk about the first 4 issues of the Babstar run of Batgirl. Thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate your patience with us and all the work we've been doing. Have a great weekend. I am Jeremy.
Jesse.
Mariano.
Don't jerk and drive. Enjoy the weekend.